Hey, everyone. I apologize for being late by 2 minutes. I'm so sorry. I apologize. As you can see, I'm fuffling in my chair because I literally just got home and I'm waiting for the second part of my setup to load. I'm sorry. I made this day exceptionally busy. Unfortunately, I had a stream. I got some dinner with a friend, and then I had this stream, which I thought I had scheduled for a different time. I knew I was going to be home late, and look what happens. I'm here scrambling to get everything set. I didn't even do any of the usual notifications for anyone about this, so I don't think anyone knows that this is happening, or really anyone who would usually know because of another stream thing letting them know. But that is what it is. We've got 6 people in, and oh shit, it's Zimzilla99 from Zimzilla99. Late Zimjazilla. Boo, I'm sorry. This is what I do to you people. I promise too much and then I underdeliver. But that's what it is. I love it's but I appreciate you all for coming on. And tonight is going to be, one of those nights where you have to deal with the fact that someone says, oh my gosh, the Godzilla has, the Americans don't understand it. And that's just awful. Am I right, guys? Say the name of the stream in the stream. Yep, he said it. He said it, everyone. But what I'll do, as I've said I would probably do it, was I am opening up the stream to everyone who wants to join, which will probably affect the analytics of the views, because it means that anyone who wants to come on is not going to be watching, but it is what it is. This way, Nini is protocol. Actually, I'll be your manager. I'll keep you in check on time. I don't pay you. I may mod you, but I don't pay you. Or will I? And literally, as I say that, I get a bunch of people already coming in. It's the
what?
He is trying to become the manager. It is the Vic, and
That's right.
The Minecraft world.
Heyo.
Yep. Come on. Just I'm just kidding. No. Come on. Coming in. Ayo. You know about that with your drill sergeants, boy.
Get on
this. Invite Mr. Soundboard. If Ziwa is in the chat and he wants to come on and talk about this video, he is more than welcome to do so. Speaking of the video, have any of you watched it already or no?
I have seen it twice.
You saw it twice? Really?
Yeah, I have it in my liked videos, so I can go back to it there.
Real quick. Is that Americans do not understand Godzilla, or do Americans not understand Godzilla? Well...
Oh, wait! This video? I thought you were referring to the Z-Way stream.
No, it's not the Z-Way stream. No, this has nothing to do with Z-Way.
No, I haven't seen this one before. I know Kuru has, and he didn't like it.
Well, good, because this video, it's bad. This is all just bad.
Which I am letting him know right now.
What, that we're doing a stream?
This is commencing.
Oh, the stream's commencing. Okay. Yeah, the video is Americans don't understand Godzilla, and then he immediately contradicts it in like a few seconds.
Yeah. No, but I've seen the Z-Way. I rewatched the Z-Way stream in full twice. So.
Okay, got you.
Which one? The
Gojin's video?
No, the one defending Gojin.
Oh, okay. Because I'm about to say, I thought I purged all of the things in regards to that, but okay.
Nope, I have access to it.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, so I'm good on that side there. Stop that. So then people behind the scenes don't just see me loom over me. But okay. So that's all set, and that's good. So then I can see the chat while I'm working on the video. But yeah, as well as I think that just doing the late stream opened things up more because I know Vic's time zone. He's on the other side of the country, so it makes it hard for him to join in. Well, yeah, that's true actually. Yeah, both of you are on the other side of the country.
Yep.
But, and I can hear family in the background screaming about I think hockey's playing right now, but we aren't here for hockey. We're here for the fun Tismy stuff, which is Godzilla.
Yeah. Yeah.
So fun. Indeed, it's time to have some fun.
So speaking of Tismy stuff, I've been playing Sonic Shadow Generations.
Does it have a Zempic in it?
What?
Oh no, that's not a Zempic. That's an opioid addiction. Oh well, I'm sorry. I tried to make it relevant. You can see what happens when I'm flustered. So I'll hide that.
You're fine. But yeah, the game's fun.
That's good. Okay. Since this is my stream, we stand in my achievements, not yours, Sea Monster. It's gonna be we're gonna do it at 1.7 times speed. So YouTubers on speed. We'll put we gotta do Godzilla channel YouTubers on speed in the back for like every channel. YouTubers on speed. So YouTubers on speed in the chat.
Let's go.
But let's begin, shall we?
Americans don't really understand Godzilla. This is not me putting down any fans or anyone's love of the franchise. There are many people who are more knowledgeable than me on everyone's favorite giant lizard. But with 70 years of Godzilla and 38 films to come through, I'd argue that most people haven't seen all the films. And from the number of video essays that I've seen go viral from having a poor understanding of the creature, or so many comments I've heard when American critics got a hold of Godzilla -1, so much of the artistry is ignored, minimized, or misunderstood. Godzilla can be a villain, a terror striking at any moment. He can be a hero protecting the children of Japan. Godzilla can be a force of nature. Godzilla can also be a giant radioactive iguana who craves fish.
So he just contradicted what he just said right there. Because if he said American, because we can go again. It's been 38 seconds into this video, and you just said Americans don't really understand Godzilla, but you just said it can be an American. He can be. Let's go right here.
Godzilla can be a villain, a terror striking at any moment.
Japanese. Japanese.
Protecting the children of Japan. Godzilla can be a force of nature.
Japanese.
Godzilla can also be a giant radioactive iguana who craves fish.
American. So then, yes, Americans do understand Godzilla. You've failed, sir. You're in only 38 seconds. You have failed the premise of your video. And hello, Sea Monster.
Oh, I heard you guys. You were talking shit about me, saying that
we stand amongst my achievements, not yours.
Sure,
and we're talking.
Sure, Slopzilla 99. Sure.
Hey, Slopzilla 99 is my brother.
Yeah. Did he look like the leprechaun from Leprechaun Origins?
Yeah, he's like while I am a long man, he's a short man.
Yeah, because like during my stream, like Lau asked me in Minecraft World to look that up, and so during the stream, so we did, and it's like what? I thought it was like
it's weird, and that's being generous.
I love that. I love that so much.
I'd say like maybe later down the line, look it up because oh boy,
yeah.
But
and that goes for everyone in the chat.
How do you guys feel about the fact that he just contradicted his own video in 38 seconds when he says Americans don't understand Godzilla, but an American film director made a Godzilla that he's saying is valid?
Yeah, right off the bat,
and this isn't even me bashing 98 in this case. This is me just being like, if you're gonna make a video, at least be consistent about the premise that you're making. Don't contradict your own thesis in 38 seconds.
And for the record, Americans didn't make Godzilla a radioactive iguana who craves fish. A German did.
Well, he's a German working for an American studio.
Still.
Radioactive, yes, eats fish, debatable, iguana, not even close. Reptilian, kind of.
It's definitely not debatable to eat fish. We literally see him eat fish, so that's
he does eat
definitely
it.
true.
No, but like I was speaking as a general consensus, like
okay.
Godzilla in general, because I think it's nebulous in the original film that he eats fish.
Yeah, and then like other like external material states that like he eats whales and stuff.
Well, yeah.
See, whales make more sense for a creature of that size. There's a reason I'm happy Nemesis chose that. Despite the fact that whales are beautiful and they don't deserve any pain.
I'd love to eat a whale.
Oh wait, sperm whales exist.
I would love to eat a whale. This is one thing I need to do in my life. Just eat a whale.
There's a good reason Moby Dick was a sperm whale. Those things are terrifying.
And it makes sense why he was white too. Sperm whale.
That's why he's always coming.
Yeah.
I will send you to Jesus.
Well, carrying on.
Godzilla can exist to critique the state of the world beyond Japan's fears of nuclear obliteration, but comes back time and time again as those worries become sadly more real in his most serious of tales. Godzilla can also be a drop-kicking, rock-throwing, atomic breath-flying being who loves to spend time with his own friends and campy adventures. Producer of Godzilla, Tamayuki Tanaka, would say that Godzilla is the son of the atomic bomb. He is a nightmare created out of the darkness of the human soul. He is the sacred beast of the apocalypse. Growing up, I watched many of the...
So, here's another thing, is that
Japan's fears of nuclear obliteration, but comes back time and time again as those worries become sadly more real in his most serious of tales. Godzilla can also be a drop-kicking, rock-throwing, atomic breath-flying being who loves to spend time with his own friends and campy adventures.
So that kind of clashes with what Tomoyuki Tanaka just said, but I'm not here to. We listen and we don't judge on other people's streams. On here, we listen and then we judge on Zimcast.
Producer of Godzilla, Tamayuki Tanaka, would say that Godzilla is the son of the atomic bomb. He is a nightmare created out of the darkness of the human soul. He is the sacred beast of the apocalypse. Growing up, I watched many of the Godzilla films of the Heisei era, released from the 80s to 90s, renting them from my local Blockbuster over and over again, being one of the most formative cinematic experiences of my childhood. After seeing Godzilla -1, I asked myself, why haven't I seen the rest of these? Why haven't I watched the 15 Showa era films I bought through Criterion? Why have I not watched the anime films on Netflix? Why haven't I revisited these films that left such an impact on my childhood? And so I did.
Because you're a fake fan, that's why.
Watch the Millennium era if you're going to watch any other era. At least.
Yeah, I would say that definitely makes sense. If you're going to watch any era of Godzilla in the modern age, watch the Millennium series. But I would say if someone is really wanting to get into Godzilla, they're going to have, I would say, whatever Godzilla movie, clips you saw, make that be your first Godzilla movie and then just watch the rest. Because ultimately, I think it's interesting where everyone's gateway into Godzilla is, because it does sort of paint their perception of Godzilla to one degree or another. And it may come out in one a certain distinction and a certain kind of perspective, but I find them interesting nonetheless. I know I started out watching Godzilla's Revenge is my favorite Godzilla movie, and probably for one reason or another, I'm able to defend that movie more than I am Godzilla 98 as being a better, more true Godzilla movie. So say that what you will, but that will come. Those things will come in May 20th of this year.
Zimzilla will come.
I'm gonna come.
Transcribing that joke from the stream earlier today to here.
I would say, to be fair to him, why he hasn't watched the anime trilogy, it could be just because, the anime trilogy should be at the bottom of the list for viewing in terms of Godzilla content.
I really want to watch this again.
Rojin can say it's good all he wants. These movies are shit.
Yeah, I don't know. What's it called? You talk a little too loud. He may come in here and spank the shit out of you for that.
Oh, I'm perfectly fine with that. I'll aim for the balls with retribution.
I mean, hey, if that's your kink, we don't judge, at least in that department. Thank you, Alice. This is why you're one of my favorite subscribers, and I like your cat. Straight facts. Revenge is better than 98.
Yeah, Alice. Alice is Chad.
Get Chad, Alice.
Last year, I watched every single Godzilla film, watching many for the first time, revisiting a large number for the first time since being a preteen. And today, I want to talk about why I love Godzilla and what sometimes I think people miss or misunderstand about the creature. To do this, let's start at the very beginning. Understanding the creation and original intent behind Godzilla, hitting some of the highlights of the franchise, talking about some of the lows as well. Why I think Americans have such odd opinions about the
I will slap you for disrespecting Space Godzilla like that.
Yeah.
Understanding the creation and original intent behind Godzilla, hitting some of the highlights of the franchise, talking about some of the lows as well. Why I think Americans have such odd opinions about the creature Godzilla or even the franchise, and walk us through a celebration to the present. There are also going to be some minor spoilers for some of the Godzilla films, but none of that detracts from your enjoyment of the series, and nothing will prepare you for some of the series' more odd moments. If you enjoyed this video or other videos like it, consider liking, commenting with some of your favorite Godzilla movies.
No! I will not!
It looks exactly what I expected.
Here's the thing I love is about the fact that he has the Criterion Collection -1, Criterion 54, and then the new slop as the only Godzilla movies here.
The new slop, as in
slop. Godzilla X Kong, the new slop.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Right. That's duh, stupid.
Give me more of that slop. Give me more of that slop. I need it in my veins.
Yummy slop, but the thing I will say is that I'm not judging him because he has the Criterion set. I am judging him because he's making a video about how certain people don't understand Godzilla. Yet the only reason why he has all of these films is because he has this one collection that took years to assemble. Because, like, I will say this: anytime people ask me at my work, like, "Oh, where can I get all the Godzilla films?" Because we have some, but not all of them. I always just say, "Hey, it's better to just save up the money to buy the Criterion set because then you have all of one specific era of Godzilla plus both versions of a specific Godzilla film in the form of King Kong versus Godzilla, which has some notable differences to it versus like 54 and Raids Again." But I would say that, like, again, for someone who's trying to explain that, like, oh, you know, God, like Americans don't understand Godzilla. The noticeable lack of Godzilla like DVDs here is palpable to me.
Yeah.
And I say this as I look over at my shelf right now, where the Criterion set is off in its own little world, and then I primarily keep all the singular copies of my films right next to each other because it just looks really nice.
Started, but for the next couple of weeks, I'll actually have videos be coming out weekly just because I have so many that are so timely right now. If you do want to see some of my other thoughts about film or just want to get some updates about the page, consider following me on TikTok, even though that might get banned in a couple of days. Or follow me on Letterboxd. I've watched almost 5,000 movies according to the app. I watch all sorts of movies, indie movies, world movies, queer movies, horror movies, just about everything that you can think of. Or consider following me on Instagram or Blue Sky. Without further ado, let's talk about Godzilla. Most importantly, let's break down the
I will not touch that fucking app.
first misconception I think of the series, but the thing that
You're
helps the
fine.
series is Nazi misunderstands about who Ishiro Honda was as a person. And while Honda is not the originator of the idea of Godzilla, he was the original director in that first film and also the co-writer of that film, and directed a total of 8 films of 38 in the entire franchise. This is by far the most that any one person has sat in the director's chair for a Godzilla movie. And despite having a full career not defined by a single genre, directing comedies, documentaries, and dramas, he is known largely for his impact on the kaiju genre. He started film school in 1931 at Nihon University's film program, which was in its infancy and fairly disorganized, leading to many professors leaving the university, classes getting canceled, and Honda attending random film screenings in order to build his education at the time. And while having the opportunity to receive several jobs in the industry as an assistant director through photographic chemical laboratories, which later rebranded upon his time away from the military, he was quickly drafted to join the Imperial Japanese Army in fall of 1934. Now, for some people, they conflate Honda's time in the Japanese military as being similar to that of a Nazi because he fought for an Axis power during World War II. A more specific point of that criticism is that during his time in the military, Honda would oversee what was at the time called a comfort station, is more commonly known as a brothel between 1940 and 1941. He would then leave the military in December 1942 before deciding to take a job at the once named Photographic Chemical Laboratories once again, which is now named Toho.
So, real quick, I hate the framing that he's making here because, one, he's bringing up the Honda Comfort Station store, which is from the Ishiro Honda book that Edgar Chesky had written, which talked about Honda's time during that. But the thing is that he plays it off in such a very weird way, which I want to go through again because, let's see.
People, they conflate Honda's time in the Japanese military as being similar to that of a Nazi because he fought for an Axis power during World War II. A more specific point of that criticism is that during his time in the military, Honda would oversee what was at the time called a comfort station, is more commonly known as a brothel between 1940 and 1941.
So, the main problem and one of the biggest things I took umbrage with this is the fact that he's saying that, like, the comparison is a faulty one because Honda wasn't a Nazi and he was only in charge of the comfort station, which I'm not going to get into any details about those comfort stations here on the channel, but for those who are in the know, they were brothels, but the willingness of those participants was not like exactly the most consensual, based on the fact that it was a wartime brothel taking people who were ostensibly the enemy of the Japanese people. And Honda talks considerably about how much that affected him and how much he hated that. But he also makes the argument that it wouldn't be similar to a Nazi when you could also have someone who is in the similar situation as Honda, but having to unfortunately be part of the Nazi party and take part in situations that are not necessarily the best because he was part of an Axis power. So I think the distinction that he's making, whether consciously or not, is a stupid one. And I think the only reason why Godzilla he brings it up is because of the fact that it's part of Honda's history and because he's talking about the fact that Honda was a director for most of these films. But yeah, I think this is a really dumb argument. And if he's going to tackle a contentious topic from the franchise, then he should not talk about it at all because he handled it in the most poor way possible, and it leaves so much room for argumentation that makes him just look absolutely terrible.
Yeah, like Omniviewer's video on this particular topic would easily just dismantle this guy's point completely.
Yeah, well, the thing is that Omniviewer, unlike this guy, actually dedicates his content to kaiju, unlike this guy, who is clearly he goes from the Adam Does Movies school of thought and is a movie fan. I'm gonna have to ask someone to make that a graphic for me.
Please.
I'll see. I might give it a shot.
Exactly. I know exactly who I'm gonna do it because I want to make it the best thing possible. Okay. But like it's gonna be some professional quality. I'll tell you this much.
I would also have
best professional quality. Adam Does Movies. I mean, you talked about -1. You got so many things wrong. You cried about it. You made a shirt so sad.
Yeah, like in Nosferatu, you know, you done that dirty as well. You know, you're looking like a little,
your streams on -1, your videos about -1, they were awful, so awful. No one can do a -1 video like I can. But your videos were dumb. They died like dogs. So sad. But let's keep going.
Who would then leave the military in December 1942 before deciding to take a job at the once named Photographic Chemical Laboratories once again, which is now named Toho, and produced several propaganda films for the company before again being drafted in 1944, being sent to China and thankfully having the opportunity to avoid conflict and did as much as he could to treat the Chinese as humanly as possible. Now, all these things can be true. What the Japanese army did during World War II was absolutely awful, and what happened in those comfort stations was unforgivable in every single way. There is absolutely no way to defend any of that. And this does not erase any of the tragedy of anything that happened or any of the harm that happened to the women that were trafficked, but Honda would openly speak out about the atrocities that happened during these comfort stations. He would openly critique the Japanese military for most of his life. He was very open about that in a way that I think most people weren't at the time. And when it comes to the films being made for Toho at the time, scripts were
so, like, obviously he explains, like, all of that was really bad. But then again, that puts the Nazi line into question because then why make the comparison? Because you could just be like, it would make sense for any person who worked for the Axis powers to speak about this. And if anything, it would show. I think that, like, in a way, talking about it in the manner that he does kind of makes Honda out to be extremely unique for someone who was on the Axis side, when in reality there was a lot of people who did not agree with what the way the Axis powers handled things and did things and would speak about it after the war. So I don't know. I think that this whole point should have been cut entirely.
Yeah, like the only difference between Honda and like anybody else who had the same perspective as him is that Honda is more prolific because of his resume. That's really
good. Also, just want to to Kaiji Kuru, who is in the chat with his most recent comment. Yeah,
needs to be, if anyone wants to grab it as a soundbite and give it to me, I should. Yeah. I would totally be fine with that.
Yeah, get the hell on, mate. Monster Hunter Wilds can wait. Get on now. I know that game's holding you hostage. That can wait.
For most of his life, and he was very open about that in a way that most people weren't at the time. And when it comes to the films being made for Toho at the time, scripts were being reviewed by the government at the time, and if you weren't compliant in supporting the Japanese war effort in your films, you were punished. Now, after starting the war, Honda would once again work as an assistant director for Toho, including working with his close friend Akira Kurosawa as an assistant director on Stray Dogs, but also be in charge of the second unit of production. At the ripe age of 40 in 1951, Honda would also direct his first film, The Blue Pearl, a partial documentary full on pearl divers, which also happened to be one of the first Japanese feature films to be shot underwater. As Ishiro Honda was directing a series of war films, Toho was able to produce a Japanese-Indonesian production titled In the Shadow of Glory, or at least tried to. A film that would have been about a Japanese soldier stationed in Indonesia while it was occupied by Japan, but the production quickly fell apart due to an understandable anti-Japanese sentiment in Indonesia at the time. Flying back to Japan after talks about the film collapsed, Tomoyuki Tanaka, a producer at Toho, rethought of the movie as a monster movie, thinking back to seeing The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms and recognizing the growing interest in monster sci-fi films in the 50s, including
I think one thing, this is something that's never been fully confirmed, but I've fallen into this trap before, but we don't actually know whether or not Tomoyuki Tanaka had seen The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, because the film actually would not hit theaters in Japan until after this plane ride that Tanaka had taken and he come back to Japan. So it's very unlikely that he's thinking of that specific movie at the time, but probably later on saw it or someone else had seen it and they are the ones who incorporated it, and it's just a little bit of telephone.
Wasn't the story that was laid out in the novelization stating that Tanaka saw a screen of it, like a picture of it in a magazine while on a plane or something?
You're talking about the Godzilla novelizations and like the afterwards by Jeffrey Angles?
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to.
I believe so, but like he didn't see the film, so like because a lot of people will say that he saw the film and then like incorporated certain aspects of it.
Yeah, but if the afterwards is to be believed, he was probably well aware.
Only
he was probably
aware.
aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
I would say
I would have to
the
look
guy
back
who
at the
saw.
afterwards.
I would say whoever titled the original draft, because when the original
was
draft
Kayama.
was like the beast
From
from 20,000 miles under the sea or something like that.
Yeah, that was Kayama.
Yeah.
So, but then again, everything that's in the angles afterward is about Kayama, not about Tanaka for the most part, if I recall.
Okay.
I literally just flipped to the page where it's talked about. It's afterward, page 193 of the book. As he fretted on the flight back to Japan in 1954, he came across an article in a Japanese movie magazine about the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, an American smash hit film from 1953 based on the 51 story called The Foghorn. So, so in this case, like a lot of older material would say that Tanaka had seen the film, where I think that this is more accurate that he'd seen an article about it, which the film was coming out before Tanaka got back. So this does make more sense.
Okay. Yeah, I just looked through my copy of the book to find it as well.
Did you find the page?
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of which, did you get your copy signed?
I didn't, sadly. I wish I did.
Here's the thing, ready? I wanted to get my the extra I had two copies. I had an early reader's copy, and then I had gotten a regular copy, but I forgot to pack my regular copy on the plane because I didn't want my early reader's copy to get damaged or like touched at all. So I ended up buying an extra copy, and I gave my secondary copy to a friend of mine. So I got it all signed and stuff.
Yeah, if I wasn't hoping to get the Godzilla book signed. I was hoping to see if I could get Matt Frank to sign my copy of Project Nemesis, but I forgot to crack the book itself.
I was so devastated when I found out about the fact that I couldn't.
Yeah, I didn't even realize until I got back to the hotel.
Oh no.
Yeah,
but. Continuing on.
Thinking about the recent release of King Kong, but more importantly, also thinking about the test of the hydrogen bomb at the Bikini Atoll in March 1954, causing more fear about the threat of nuclear weapons. Once there was a shift of direction, Senkichi Tamaguchi, the original director of In the Shadow of Glory, would choose to lead the project. After many other directors left the project because of believing it was stupid, Toho reluctantly asked Honda, who recognized due to his beliefs and time in the war, he was actually ideal. And Honda actually said yes very quickly because he was interested in sci-fi as a genre and wanted this to be a serious project. And now this leads to the creation of the original Godzilla. Now, for anyone who's watching this video and has only seen the Monsterverse films or the Matthew Broderick movies, or in the same boat as me where they saw maybe some of the Heisei films or some of the Millennium films growing up, I think it's very important to go back and watch the original Godzilla movie. And what does it mean for me to spoil the 70-year-old film? So many people think of Godzilla as so goofy and campy, but this original film is a full-fledged horror film, and there's an air of mystery surrounding the initial appearance of the creature, which also solely in this iteration of the film appears more curious and animal-like than others. It's a one.
So, I'm curious, what are you guys' thoughts about people when they say that the original Godzilla is a full-on horror film? Because I believe that doesn't really. I don't think that ever means anything.
I wouldn't say full horror. I would more so describe it as thriller ? Even that's a bit up in the air.
I would probably call it more of like a disaster movie, probably. Disaster with some tinges of existential horror because of like what this thing is capable of doing, and we see the results of the aftermath, what have you, as well as the implications of like the Oxygen Destroyer.
I definitely wouldn't label it as like a complete horror film, since you do have like the sci-fi elements. And then the whole creature feature genre, which is like, I think a subgenre all its own. So like, I would say there are some horror elements, but not in the way that I think like people tend to mean when they like say, oh, Godzilla was actually a horror film.
Yeah, because like I think that the film is still a sci-fi film, without a doubt, but the film is not like a horror film, because I think there's a lot of connotation when people say it's a horror film. But even comparing it to like other horror films of the time, it doesn't really have like those similar conventions. Like Black Rani says it like right here, disaster plus thriller plus horror, which genres as a whole kind of like flimsy and loose like that. But like what I would say is that like the film is definitely a sci-fi film with aspects of horror, and as a horror film, it can be considered a thriller film, since like the film is trying to be horrific with the disaster that it shows, Whereas with real films, they're more trying to like excite you because of the danger rather than the actual like horror of the events itself.
Yeah, I think the best way to describe it would be Gojira 54 is about as much horror as the Jurassic Park movie is horror.
I would say it's more than the Jurassic Park movies.
Yeah, fair.
Me.
Well,
That which carried over into other films. Fish suddenly start to disappear. Fishing boats and homes begin to destroy. People are killed, all while the titular creature is given minimal appearance before his destructive finale. Beyond impressive in its use of miniatures and practical effects, and not given nearly enough credit for how advanced special effects as a whole and how seriously it took the science fiction genre, which feels like somewhat of an anomaly at the time. The film is beyond frightening, especially when Godzilla stays on mainland for a long period of time. You see the real terror in people's eyes before we see them vaporized or crushed in front of us. It is a far more emotional film than most people give credit, and upon my most recent viewing, it was overwhelming and left me on the verge of tears. Real fear is translated.
I think that like, is that even true? Because so many people will talk about the fact that, oh yeah, when I actually saw the original Godzilla, it's a lot more like scary than I was expecting it to be. So I think the idea that not a lot of people actually give it too much credit is kind of inaccurate, especially nowadays.
I'd say it would kind of depend on like, because I mean, it is sort of like something that a lot of people say when, especially if they haven't already seen the movie. I think it's just like a whatchamacallit, just like a soundbite that everyone sort of feels the need to say, so that it gives it a little bit of legitimacy.
Maybe. But wait, explain your point again.
Well, I just think it's something that like people think they have to say,
Okay.
so that it sounds a little more legitimate. Because, like, you know, the idea that most people think, oh, Godzilla is goofy, but actually, it's serious.
I think, like, for a lot of people who, like, are movie channels, they like to talk about the fact that, like, oh, I saw the original Godzilla, and it's not like how you think, guys. But I definitely can understand that point there, that, like, people will just kind of say it to say it.
Yeah. On the film, had moved so close in proximity to World War II and the nuclear bombs being dropped in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, it's an act of selflessly translating collective trauma with hopes that we'd somehow recognize as a collective the damage that these weapons can cause. The film is also far more conclusive than I think most people give credit, with Godzilla dying at the end of the film because of the use of the...
What does he mean by most people give credit? Like, I don't understand, like, these vague allusions to these groups of people who like think these things is very odd.
Give specifics. Stop vague posting.
I don't mind the vague posting, but like maybe just be like, at least give some anecdotal examples, maybe.
That's what
How is it more? How are most people not considering this film to be conclusive? Like, how would that like?
The only way I could rationalize it is that he believes that because people know there are so many Godzilla sequels, that the first film probably was open-ended. But then again, that has much different implications than people thinking the film is more conclusive. Because my impression from that statement would be that people saw the film and didn't think the film was that conclusive.
The oxygen destroyer, and our main character became preoccupied with the idea of needing to prepare for another Godzilla in case another is awoken by the use of nuclear weapons.
That also would mean the film isn't as open-ended as, or isn't as conclusive as you think, because even though Godzilla died, the last like real bit of dialogue about the film is the fact that if nuclear tests continue, another Godzilla would appear. And for viewers at the time, nuclear tests were still continuing, so it would make the film more open-ended and add to the commentary. Yeah, Black Aroni says it best. Are these people in the room with us right now?
Original Godzilla broke opening day records for Toho, selling 33,000 tickets, with a line wrapping around the theater 3 times over. Ryuji, Ishiro Honda's son, said that there was standing room only in the theater and that people were mostly silent for the entire runtime, with people reportedly being scared and unable to sleep for days after watching the film. Honda was excited by some aspects of the immediate success, but was bogged down by some of the more mixed reviews that oversimplified Godzilla to being a children's film or similar to other monster B movies at the time.
I'm sorry, source for the line wrapping thing. That is,
yeah. I was about to say, wouldn't that technically make it the first blockbuster? Because isn't Jaws accredited to that?
Yeah, Jaws is accredited to that.
So either you're lying or you're factually misrepresenting the story, thus lying, or you're getting your shit mixed up.
Because like,
both.
I wish he had given like the lines for that, because
when you make a claim like that, because I'm fascinated by stories like that. like
Mhm.
one of the most fascinating things with movie history for me is just how big Star Wars was. But like, really? Because the pervasive narrative that I've seen is that Gojira was not received well. Not well.
Oh wait, here it is. It's
received
from
well is
I
the
just
right way
found
to
it. It's
put
from
it.
Slash Films.
Oh,
So wait. Like because I just got it here and I'm showing here, so it looks like it's carrying on from that original quote. So final streams.
that's
Oh wait, it's not popping up.
huh?
Because
Really?
usually there it is. Okay.
Oh,
Oh wait, in December 3rd, 1954, edition of Yomiuri Evening Shimbun, the critic noted that Gojira had some fun special effects, but little else. Most were special effects in film are revival. But the critic continued, Godzilla himself was a very interesting monster, they wrote. One of the drawbacks is that Godzilla has no personality. With King Kong, there was some charm in the movements. It was using with the drama of being bewildered by a world with a different environment. The destruction itself was not with evil intent, but Godzilla is brusque and blunt. That's not 1 ounce of tragedy of losing a peaceful habitat due to a hydrogen bomb test coming across. Yeah, I think that, like, is that really that unfair of a argument to make? I would say, like, at least in this case here, where because I think he's referring to Kong here, where it says the destruction itself was not with the evil intent, where Kong's just an animal. Well, with Godzilla, he's described as far more like antagonistic, especially in the book, where he's described as wrathful or specifically going after characters in the book, or
in the
angry.
book, yeah, even though he is antagonistic, that the lack of personality thing is what really got me. Godzilla has personality.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the 54 movie, there is personality there. It's not as explicit due to the nature of how the effect is done, but it is very much present if you actually stop and look at its actions.
Yeah, being wrathful is a personality. Like,
the fact that Godzilla himself has motivation to do the things that he does is enough of a personality trait. Also, hi, Kaiju Kuru.
Wild.
I think another thing to consider is the fact that I love the fact that this video is called Americans Don't Understand Godzilla, yet this criticism that really doesn't understand the character is coming from a Japanese critic.
When are we getting to the point?
What do you mean?
That's what I'm saying that about this video. It's I mean, obviously this is all set up, but
it's all set up, and I think that really kind of only gets to the point like right
we're like
here.
almost a third through this video.
Oh, we're not even close to a third. Don't you just love it?
No. I could be playing Wilds.
You mean
That
getting bodied
can
by the
wait.
monsters in Wilds?
What?
You mean I said, don't you mean getting bodied by the monsters in Wilds?
Bro, I'm bodying them. I've been monster hunting for over 10 years. I do
Favorite
this
monster?
shit for a living. I hunt Glavenus.
Okay, good. You can stay on then. I was about to say, if it's not Glavenus, y'all can get out of my chat.
Based.
The Giga Chad Glavenus? Glavenus and then
Glavenus is cool.
Glavenus
Not my
and then
favorite, but he's cool.
Baroth is a very fun boy. I love my Baroth.
My second favorite is Amatsu.
Okay. And I think Rathalos is kind of overrated. Same with Rathian.
Honestly, I have just grown to like Rathalos more with time.
I think Rathalos is a fine design, but I think the modern version of Rathalos is less interesting than the original design because they did change small aspects of Rathalos to make it more realistic.
3 separate times.
The original, like the first Rathalos design is the best.
Like first and second gen, anyway.
Yep.
Bro, I could talk about Monster Hunter for hours, but that ain't what we're here for.
The movie Monster Hunter, I'm sure.
No.
I love the movie Monster Hunter.
Absolutely not.
I will gut you.
That's okay. I've torn that movie to shreds.
You know, it's one design that like people love, but I absolutely hate is Diablos. I think Diablos has an ugly design.
Monoblos is better anyway.
It is. Someone tells me that it's worse than Diablo's. I'm like, it is personal.
I've been saying, like, I really wish they brought him back for a while because, like, we could just say there's a population of Monoblos in the Forbidden Land, so they aren't endangered anymore.
Monoblos versus, like, I think it, like, Monoblos versus Glavenus would be so cool. But carrying on.
Expects the immediate success, but was bogged down by some of the more mixed reviews that oversimplified Godzilla to being a children's film or similar to other monster movies at the time. A large part of the film's international success was actually being brought on by a brand new English dub of the film released 2 years later, Godzilla King of the Monsters. This is also, funnily enough, where the King of the Monsters subtitle for Godzilla came, and it's just stuck with time. The new cut of the film...
I also love the fact that his videos called Americans Don't Understand Godzilla, yet a lot of the popularity from the original is because of the American dub. But the Americans who don't understand Godzilla, and he also brought up a Japanese critic not understanding Godzilla.
These movie fans, they seemed...
Movie fans.
They hate Americans. Despite being Americans.
No, literally, the self-hatred's real.
The self-hatred is palpable.
I know, right?
At runtime, as well as adds Raymond Burr as Steve Martin. He essentially exists as a foreign correspondent character who's there to tempt white American audiences so that way they check out the film. For the majority of the film...
Bruh.
No, he doesn't.
He serves a thematic purpose in this version.
He actually does. He is I don't remember ever. He's honestly, I think if someone would find a way to compile him into the original edit of Gojira, I would be down for that.
No, like there is, outside of like the hospital scenes, where like the stuff with Ogata has changed a little bit due to his inclusion. There is very little that you need to do to include Burr into 54 without like too much changing.
He is a good character, and we do not allow for Raymond Burr slander.
There's no Burr slander here. I think another thing I like about the fact with Burr is the fact that, like, as a correspondent and as a very much a tertiary character where we're only seeing it through his eyes, his actions really don't affect the plot all that much. Whereas you could argue that, like, it's his argument, like his pleading with Emiko in the American film that is what causes her to use to have Serizawa use the oxygen destroyer, when in reality it's still Ogata and him.
It's still all Ogata. Like, he's just there as well.
Yeah, Ogata is still there, and Ogata and Emiko are still the people who go to Serizawa's house to directly ask him. Even though in this film, like this version of the film, him and Serizawa are friends. So, like, you think it would make more sense in the American film to have, like, Martin be brought along to, like, be like, hey, my best friend from Japan, I'm exceptionally injured because of what Godzilla did. Don't you feel sorry for me and want to use the oxygen destroyer instead of the prayer for peace scene? Like, they could have cut that entirely, especially since, like, American audiences wouldn't understand what's being said there at all, but they still keep that part in. You didn't think about that? Did you video? But
did you movie?
But no, you just care. You care about the. Are these white people who want to check out of this movie? Are they in the room with you right now?
I'm getting Grimuglia. I'm honest to God getting Grimuglia flashbacks right now.
Oh no, what's it called? The difference between him and that loser is the fact that he has less subs, so therefore he has less influence, and he hasn't wormed his way into other communities with his crowd of like glazers and sycophants. That's the only difference between these two. If he had the same pull as him, then they'd be the exact same person.
Events of the plot explained to him by other randomly inserted Asian characters slightly off screen. In fact, in a lot of scenes in the film, there's no subtitles whenever we see our protagonist. We'll just say speaks Japanese, and then suddenly in scenes where Martin does not appear, they're speaking full-on English. And upon watching this new cut of the film, which Honda famously hated upon its premiere...
Well, it's probably not the fact that they're actually speaking... It's probably not the fact that they're actually speaking full-on English. It's the fact that, like, because there's not an American there, we'll need to understand what's going on, so they just decided to dub it instead of actually showing it as just Japanese.
This is something that bugs me because, like, did Honda actually hate? Oh, you're looking up it right now.
I wish I could just have that. I want to know. Does anyone? Oh, you're looking it up right now. Well, at least the overview saying that Honda did not Did not hate Godzilla.
He's like, I don't.
Well,
feel
that's in Godzilla. It's depicted. Most misunderstood Godzilla movie. What did you hate about Godzilla King of the Monsters? Rewrite of Godzilla King of the Monsters. Ghidorah. So
these are talking about
many
2019.
people know about Gojira for the lighthearted tone of the sequels. That's the sequels.
That's not it.
Huh?
There's no source for this stuff.
I'd assume that maybe he might be referring to. I'm gonna try 1956. Let's see if that changes it. Is this series showing what functions? Strange cast. Let's do. I'm just gonna try to find a page. Hated. Nope. We get
Man,
nothing.
Man, yeah, like either there is no source or he had to dig deep into there to find it.
I doubt that. So I think this is a casual example of my source is I made it up.
I wish I had that as a soundbite.
Hang on, I have a soundboard. Give me like 2 minutes.
I need to get that. I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
But I guess in the meantime, before you get that up,
You gnome fuck!
I think that's relevant even better because of the fact that he just got banned from Twitch. Rest in piss.
All right.
Yeah! Yeah! Yeah!
I got it.
Oh my god! Best news I've heard in weeks! Yes!
How did he get banned? What the fuck happened?
Right, and he
What?
made a threat about killing a senator. So
Oh!
finally,
Oh,
they-
shit.
because of that, they were like, "Oh nope, we actually have to step in this time."
Oh, Jesus.
It isn't important.
He got exactly what he
Who
deserved.
got banned? I was looking at my phone when you did that.
What was that?
Who got banned?
Hassan.
Okay. Anyways,
I'll
I
play
have
it again.
the
I'll play it
bit. I
again
have
for
the
you,
bit.
real quick.
I have.
You gnome fuck!
I have
There
the
you go.
bit now.
You have the
Nice
bet?
argument, Senator. Why don't you back it up with a source? My source is that I made it the fuck up.
Oh, that was the senator he was threatening.
One of you has to send that to me so that
Play Metal Gear Rising, people.
I love it. I love that game. So
I've
much.
been listening to that soundtrack alongside a whole bunch of Sonic music. Yeah, it's good.
What's it called? Anytime I realize someone has made something up, so I get to viciously destroy them. I'm like Sam from Metal Gear Rising. Oh, that's very good. Yes, I like that.
Hassan getting
Turns out the soundboard that I have didn't have that bit. I could just send you the clip on YouTube.
Well, that's a pretty meme. Exquisite.
Yeah. Oh god, that's just such good news. Hearing Hassan getting banned, that's wonderful.
Nature is healing. Nature is healing.
Yes.
Slowly but surely, my friends.
As Emma just said, we are the infection. But moving on.
Here in Japan in 1957, after being advertised as 100 times better than the original Godzilla, I also hated it. I mean, this is truly a business.
Oh, he's one of these people. So
In some main scenes where Martin does not appear, they're speaking full-on English. And upon watching this new cut of the film, which Honda famously hated upon its premiere in Japan in 1957, after being advertised as 100 times better than the original Godzilla,
wait.
Where the hell has it been advertised as better than the original?
No,
What?
that was something they did do. I want to see. I'm just gonna stop sharing real quick because I know Big Action Bill had mentioned that in his review. Was it 55 or 54's? Let's do Godzilla 55 Big Action Bill. It's one of those two that he does mention that.
Oh.
I bet you jumped the gun, Minecraft. He has a source.
Well, Bill is my source, so
I'll trust it. Dude does good research, so at least tries.
Which is
Let me try
rare
to do
for
good
this
research.
when people well, he isn't a movie fan.
Movie fan.
It's just gonna become a bit with us now, isn't it?
You need a print.
Hang on.
I found it. 1 sec. Times better interesting than the original. Okay, so at least how Bill describes it is that he's taking it in stride, which I think, based on the sources that he has, where he has the Godzilla FAQ, Khaled's Godzilla book, the Honda book, and then the Rifle Monstar book as well. It's from one of those sources, probably, I'd assume. So let me share that again.
Okay.
But I'll show it here for everyone else because I trust Bill over this guy who's not even a Godzilla channel. So, and because he's talking about a thing about Americans not understanding Godzilla and then contradicting himself in the first 30 minutes, and it proves that he has more of a bias than Bill does. So, Streamception for a bit. There we go. All right.
First imported back to Japan, the advertisers would market it as 100 times more interesting than the original. But Honda put that in stride as well.
That explains
the business. While the production of the new Godzilla.
So, yeah. At least it's coming. I'm assuming it's coming from one of these books. I just recently got the Honda book because my warehouses just had copies again, so I could get one. And I would need to get the Khaled book. I do have the FAQ, which I can look at again. And I don't have the Rifle book, so I just need more sources.
Yeah, I was just wondering where that came from, because.
But I think it's just adding to the his anti-American / anti-white hate, because it's very clear that's the case there.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I hadn't gone through all of Big Action Bill's stuff, so that explains why I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Watching this new cut of the film, which Honda famously hated upon its premiere in Japan in 1957, after being advertised as 100 times better than the original Godzilla, I also hated it. I mean, this is truly abysmal, dropping what is in my mind a perfect and classic movie, important for so many different genres, to at best a half-star movie. Much of the nuance about war or nuclear obliteration is moved, as well as a lot of the character from our main trio that we know, making this an empty, vapid waste of time.
Really? Such as? Are you going to expand on that?
Elaborate.
Elaborate?
No.
We got time. We got time to elaborate.
Why the hell did I put my thesaurus?
You're not gonna? Well, you know what we say to people like that? Well,
Degenerates like you belong on a cross.
The original film.
I was just gonna say, let them get hit point blank by Ray Dow's rail cannon.
Yeah.
For so many different genres, to at best a half-star movie. Much of the nuance about war or nuclear obliteration is moved, as well as a lot of the character from our main trio that we know, making this an empty, vapid waste of time that makes me so angry knowing the impact of the original film. There really isn't much else to say about this other cut of the film other than it's a waste of time. Just read subtitles and check out the original movie. And sadly, this is the first place where I think American audiences start misunderstanding this creature. It doesn't help that the majority of later films would not have it.
How? Because Godzilla is not that different between.
It's not that different, but apparently the presence of a white guy is enough.
It's
He's like white man in foreign film changes cultural appropriation. Bad.
As a white American, I would like to say, use your aggressive feelings, boy. Let the hate flow through you.
I have a gun and I am not afraid to use it.
You could make it more of a southern
half white American.
Yes, boy. Use your aggressive feelings. Let the hate flow through you. Let it come down like butter on a skillet. Come on, little Skywalker boy.
Come on, boy.
Come on, boy.
Also for the gun comment, Also for the gun comment, I actually don't have a gun on me. Well, I do. I do, but it's a Nerf gun.
I don't. It's real.
Oh no.
I mean, the closest thing I have to... I can't even make that joke. I don't own one.
You don't have a Nerf gun?
California.
I was going to say I have an evoker. No one else is going to know.
How did you get it? How did you sneak into my woodland mansion?
I'm talking about the Persona evoker.
Ha! California.
Oh. Huh. I thought you were the one who stole one of my guys.
No, but I did kill the person who did.
Wah, wah.
Don't ask how I was able to break into your house.
He's in the walls. He's in the goddamn walls!
No, I'm not in the walls. I'm in the Wi-Fi. I'm in the Wi-Fi, actually. I'm like Hatsune Miku.
So, I'm going to destroy Hatsune Miku, Soundwave.
But carrying on.
Distribution in original Japanese, playing in either movie theater or rental. The only occurrences that really stuck out to me when reading about the film being played in Japanese in the US were in the 50s and 60s in Japanese American neighborhoods. Making this video, I genuinely couldn't remember if I had access to those original versions of the films until Blockbuster and other video stores had access to DVD, so that way multiple languages could be stored on the disc. And aside from the handful of very limited releases of the original Godzilla in theaters with large Japanese American populations, it wasn't until 1982 when the original film would finally play in the United States with a very limited release in smaller art house theaters. And then even more shockingly, the original Godzilla wouldn't have an official DVD release in the US until 2004. And regardless of the understanding of the creature, the film, or its commentary, there's a level of success that can't be ignored here. So much so that there would be 15 films released during the Showa era, released over the course of 21 years, and while Honda would immediately leave Godzilla and go work on Love Tide, his first film targeting female audiences that was a romance film about two lovers separated by the war, Toho had other plans for Godzilla. Fearful of losing any potential income and also any interest in the creature overall, regardless of what people gathered from that first film, Toho was able to release the second Godzilla film, Godzilla Raids Again, in just over 6 months after the release of the original Godzilla. Looking at the production of this one film, it's also clear to see a pattern driving to make these films quickly for sometimes a quick buck, and recognizing that the majority of the audience for that first film saw one watered down in commentary, so that is less important even if it's present. It was then being placed in making.
Wouldn't that also mean that the Japanese don't understand Godzilla because
you cannot say that there's a pattern just based off of 2 instances.
Yeah, but again, here's the thing: is that he's saying that the Americans don't understand Godzilla. Yet clearly, by the second film, all the things that he complained about in King of the Monsters are present in 55. So as a result, the Japanese don't understand Godzilla.
I would say,
only Honda did.
No
I
one
wouldn't
understands
even just say
Godzilla.
present. I would
Only
say
I
more
is my
prominent.
trend.
Hey Zim.
Yes.
Just to refer back, I did do a quick skimming of the Godzilla FAQ. There's just one blurb that said Honda himself would claim to have never seen the American re-edit.
Oh,
I don't know.
that's even worse.
Oh my fucking god!
That doesn't help the argument.
That makes his argument even worse. Thank you. For a reference for anyone who's watching the stream and has the FAQ, Vic, what page is that on?
Oh, well, I found this blurb on page 26 where it talks about the American King of the Monsters thing.
Awesome, thank you.
Cool. Yeah, that's just one thing I skimmed through, but
I just think that one thing I want to be cognizant of is that if I'm pulling things from books and stuff, I just want to have pages. So if people have it as well, they can check too at home. But that's like that's it. It's even worse. That's like because either he's like outright lying or he's ignorant. But based on how hostile he is about Americans and white people and stuff in this video, I am more inclined to believe that he's lying via malicious omission.
As a white American, I will say he's lying.
He's lying. That boy lying.
Yeah, they're liar.
In this film, we truly have one of my least favorite of the Showa era with non-memorable characters, a lack of talent.
I will slap you as the only Raids Again lover on the internet. I will slap you.
What about me?
Oh wait, you're one too?
I mean, I think it's good. I don't think it's abysmal, but
there can only be one.
Don't you think you need an ally, not someone to just kick randomly?
You want to question me again?
Reminders for all in this. This is a dictatorship.
Yes.
Oh,
Hail
God.
Zenate.
Praise be the God Emperor Zimzilla.
I am the God Emperor. My Primarch children. Enough. I am speaking. Daddy's home.
For the Emperor.
For the Emperor. Actually, if we're going Warhammer on this, is he the heretic, the mutant, or the unclean?
All of them.
Kill the heretic! Purge the mutant! Kill the unclean!
Oh boy!
Hey, King of the Monsters is in the chat. I am the God of War.
Hi. So we meet again. We meet at last, Kratos.
Kratos, you will never get a hit from the cabbage of the gods.
You will not deny me my vengeance, Zeus.
I thought we'd be bigger.
Or the film is just boring. But at the same time, it's very important in Godzilla lore and really all the kaiju genre. Because in Toho's eyes, what is better than one giant monster?
Is that the man in the suit?
An income.
I will kill you.
I will send you to Jesus.
I was about to say something even worse. You should be so happy That's what I said to you.
I'm dying with such joy tonight.
God.
Oh, I was so close.
What were you gonna say, Zim?
You don't want to know. You'll find out later. My channel was about to get nuked off the Facebook. Oh my goodness. I'm so I can feel my heart just skipped a beat. I'm like, yo. Oh no.
Thank God I cut you off.
Oh Lord.
Oh, thank God you cut me off.
Tom's and Gyros beloved Ankylosaurus, the monster among the least exciting fights in all of Godzilla history. Essentially wrestle each other without any sense of momentum or weight, not yet perfecting the nature of how these battles should appear on the big screen, but being an important foundation for what would shape so much of the series in the future.
Well, it's not about the fact that they didn't perfect it. It's the fact that there was an error with the filming of Godzilla Raids Again. So as a result, that's why the film is odd like that. So it has nothing to do with them not perfecting it.
You kind of have to factor that in whenever talking about the fights in that film.
Mm-hmm. Because, like, if there was a similar error in King Kong versus Godzilla, then we wouldn't say that they hadn't perfected it yet. It's still an error. Or if anything, it would probably strengthen my point more if Raids Again was fine, but King Kong versus Godzilla, or a film after it, had that issue. So, yeah.
I kind of always liked it.
I find it I find it interesting because of the fact that that was something that stayed in the film, and it is an error that they just decided to keep. But yeah, it is still an error regardless. But I personally find it interesting.
I would say Garrett's head jerking just kind of makes me think he just goes, "Oh, hey, oh," when he does that.
Does it?
Exciting fights in all of Godzilla
When he does that, in the movie.
Not yet perfecting the nature of how these battles should appear on the big screen, but being an important foundation for what would shape so much of the
Hey, come on!
Whoa.
Come on, you Goomba! You hit me with the atomic breath here. I've got one of my own, so I decided to remove my atomic breath.
You think that's petty? You think that?
This for the monster's next appearance on screen, and the film that accelerated both production of many Godzilla films in the future and having creature battles become the priority for the series, King Kong versus Godzilla. The film actually.
I think the one thing that's interesting is the fact that he's going over the history of Godzilla, but doesn't talk about the fact that like other monster films were being made around this time. It's just they weren't focusing on Godzilla.
Yeah. I'm also. Did he talk about the Gigantus re-edit, or is he going to get to that?
I don't remember if he does.
I don't think he does, but you know what?
It looks like we're moving on to King Kong versus Godzilla now. He just completely skipped over Gigantus.
I would be honest, if he was going to talk about an American edit, just disrespecting a film, Gigantus would be a better example. But in a way, Gigantus is more faithful to the original because there's footage cut, but the film is just a straight dub rather than a re-edit. So someone could make the argument that the film is more faithful in that aspect. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that, but...
Started as a film that would feature King Kong fighting a giant version of Frankenstein's monster, and Toho said, you know what, let's just have Godzilla do this. And genuinely, we would not have the franchise we do today without this one movie. Now I think King Kong vs. Godzilla is just fine, marred once again from a poor dub, but you can understand as a theme for the series and as at the heart for the majority of the confusion about our lizard god. Although it does bring us back Ishiro Honda, who'd remain in the fold for the next several Godzilla films, and also understood how to meet Toho's demands for the series, also integrating everything that he loved about the creature. For instance, such as Toho demanding that Honda integrate his own Mothra into the fray for the fourth film of the franchise, Mothra vs. Godzilla, after his own 1961 film, or being able to rush one of my favorites of the Showa era the series Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, featuring the introduction and creation of Godzilla's most iconic foe, which was made with an expedited production after Kurosawa's Red Beard was delayed. He was constantly willing to adjust the parameters that were being set for him while also adding his own personal flair to continue the deeper and richer meaning of the series, such as tackling social commentary that was anti-capitalistic, also critiquing the stealing of indigenous...
No, it's not anti-capitalistic.
Mothra vs. Godzilla was never anti-capitalistic. Well, at least not... No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
Not overt.
It's anti-greed, if anything.
Yeah.
Because,
and also
like,
partially environmentalistic. Continuing the themes of the original Mothra film.
Yeah, you could definitely say it's environmentalistic.
Okay. Anti-capitalist, not anti-capitalistic, but it is like anti-capitalist being dicks.
No, just like anti-greed, because you can be greedy and just someone from Twitch just that's weird, but
yeah, it's like I mean, it's like it's okay to capitalism is okay, just don't be a dick about it.
Yeah. Also,
capitalism is when greed happens. Yeah.
Also, just want to state real quick to the audience that on the topic of Mothra, the comic releases tomorrow.
The new one?
Yeah, the new one.
Oh no! I just spent a whole bunch of money tonight.
I'm spending so much money soon.
I know.
I have not spent much money. Well, I have.
Now, what's it called? I can just probably go and grab it tomorrow before I go to work. Yeah, I can do that. That's fine. Alrighty.
I'm excited to see what it does. I've been very hyped for this comic.
I'm interested to see where it goes with Mothra because it's the first time outside of like Space Godzilla that another monster had a like run all to itself. Which Space Godzilla's was like one story, where this is gonna be like how many issues?
And this is also the first Mothra solo story since Rebirth of Mothra, I think. Unless
I think so. Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
Land and Mothra versus Godzilla, and also willing to, even though he didn't really love it, anthropomorphize aspects of these characters in order to make one of the most important changes to any of these Godzilla films, transform Godzilla from a villain to an anti-hero.
So real quick. Oh, I went way too far.
Oh
no, we're good.
Adding his own personal flair to continue the deeper and richer meaning of the series, such as tackling social commentary that was anti-capitalistic, also critiquing the stealing of indigenous land in Mothra versus Godzilla.
It doesn't really do that, but okay.
And also willing to, even though he didn't really love it, anthropomorphize.
So if Honda really didn't like the idea of anthropomorphizing Godzilla, then it could still be argued that the Japanese don't understand Godzilla because they were trying to change the character in a way that Honda and the original creators didn't really intend to do.
The subtitles, they would say Mothra's talking to them from the movie, or did he just add them in?
I think those are actually subtitles.
You talk about these?
Yeah, Mothra's talking. That's
from the actual movie. This is okay. That's just from his video.
Oh, Godzilla! What terrible language!
Yeah,
I love that line so much.
I just love the fact. I just love that he's just so vulgar.
To transform Godzilla from a villain to an anti-hero and then eventually the hero of this era. Godzilla's metamorphosis in the series is consistently in the trajectory towards being a hero, with the creature at least never downright being a villain after this fourth film, sometimes just existing for the sake of existing, taking out evil creatures for his own interest before existing in largely innocuous adventures even. Goofiness is part of these Godzilla films to some extent, even when Honda's piloting the ship, but I'd argue the films become really campy and light around Ebra Horror of the Deep, with one of the most memorable fights.
It's also kind of weird that he talks about like even when Honda was in charge, the films were goofy, yet he never directed this film. Fukuda did.
Yeah, research, dude.
Like you get two Godzilla films that weren't made by Honda, and then you get Destroy All Monsters, which is Honda.
You want to know what's baffling? This dude has the Criterion Collection of the Showa era. All he has to do is just look in the back or somewhere.
If I recall, like the booklet does state who made each film.
Permission to pull that line from the Boondocks.
Yes, you can.
Hang on, I gotta get it. There it is. Crap.
Read, nigga, read!
Oh no!
I need to make that a soundboard for my thing as well. But
There's
you know
so
what?
many bits from the Boondocks you can make into soundboards.
Since just for this guy, I haven't pulled this one a little bit, so we'll do this.
Like that disgusting grin off your face.
Sir, yes, sir, yes, sir.
Well, what he fucking hard, sweetheart.
Sir, I'm trying, sir, I'm trying,
Private
sir.
pile, I'm gonna give you 3 seconds. Exactly, 3 fucking seconds. To wipe that stupid looking grin off your face. Or I will gouge out your eyeballs. Fuck you.
There you go.
Bro, you're killing Sea Monster over here.
That's a combined effort from all of us.
We kill one C.
Are we gonna break? Bro, we can't break him just yet. 7 more remain.
Yes, I was wondering what would break first, your spirit or your body?
Wait, 7?
7 remain.
What do you mean 7 remain?
Where did all my blood go?
He just sounded dead there for a second.
Oh, he dead.
He dead. Hey, yo, he dead.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Keep it moving.
All right.
Series.
You have a bottle of water with you?
Ebra, and then it's thrown right back at him. Another
All right, I'm good. I'll get some.
Will meet a younger member of the species and raise it as his own.
Again, Fukuda, not Honda.
It's very clear at this point that they start aiming
Doesn't ever specify that.
the younger audience, more people in the movie. This also leads to some fun adventures and
Also, Son of Godzilla is good, and I will not be hearing Manila slander.
I don't mind Manila, but what's it called? If that ducking loser, what's his name, Matthias Shaw, ever came in, you'd be like, "Oh my gosh, Miller is just—he's such an awful monster, guys." Like, I understand. I have like a sub 30 IQ, and like I realize that like Manila is a baby, he can't fight properly, but he can't fight. He didn't do anything in Destroy All Monsters. It's not like he beat Ghidorah with the help of other monsters. He couldn't beat Ghidorah.
Yeah, I don't have anything against Minilla, but my God, the costume design for him is just. I'm sorry, I just can't get into that.
The older costume design, the newborn is just what the hell happened. But it's a newborn, so that makes sense.
I will never hate Minya.
I will say, I honestly think that this design works better than the Final Wars one, because the Final Wars one just looks like a Barney reject. This is a so ugly it's cute deal.
I wouldn't even go
I
that
like
far.
Final Wars better.
I would say it looks
Final
like
Wars is better.
I would say the Final Wars Manila looks like someone's attempt at a modern day, at an edgier version of Barney.
I would say like both of their designs, I don't mind. I'll take them or leave them.
Like that's
like no particular way for each.
Yeah, that wasn't meant to be a bad thing, because like Final Wars Manila kind of works for what it's trying to be and fits the overall aesthetic of Final Wars.
Also, I just want to point something out. Subtitles state this film is easily the most. It's okay. He's talking about all monsters attack for a second. I was about to have a stroke. I thought he was talking about Sun.
No.
Thank God. I was about to, like, how are you getting some of the most basic facts wrong?
It comes to save budget and feels like a low point for the majority of fans. Now, in naming other highlights of this era of the franchise, there would probably be the 9th film of the series, Destroy All Monsters, because of the sheer number of kaiju present in the film, the 11th film of the franchise, Godzilla vs. Hedorah, for being such a significant entry in the series.
Most people hated this film, so I don't know.
I hate this film still.
Yeah, Godzilla vs. Hedorah is terrible. It's a terrible movie.
I think Hedorah's a good film.
I like Hedorah as a monster, S-tier monster, one of the best concepts in the series. I bought the monster arts. She's my daughter. I forfeit everything to her in my will. This movie is painful.
I think this movie's a lot better than people give it credit for. I think, like, as much as I love Gigan as a monster, I think Hedorah as a film is better than Gigan as a film. I'd also probably say that Megalon. I like Megalon more than Hedorah too, but I think
Megalon.
Oh, I need that as literally. It's just I need to rewatch the stream just to find all these things for the soundboard.
Yeah, I was about to say when you're done, everything
saved as a raw file.
Also, wait.
All monsters, because of the sheer number of kaiju present in the film, the 11th film of the franchise, Godzilla vs. Hedorah, for being such a psychedelic entry in the series, barring from the trippy visuals I associate typically with the few Eastern European art house films I've seen.
I love the fact that he's like, oh, it's like Eastern European films, but I know he's saying Americans don't understand Godzilla, but like, I think if it could draw more clicks, he'd probably say the West doesn't understand Godzilla, but. Yeah, the Godzilla series as a whole, even from the Showa era, was pulling a lot from Western films. So, like, this idea that Americans don't understand Godzilla is still a really poor argument to make, but
seen for the time, and also for the unique creature Hedorah, a giant pile of alien goo that feeds on the Earth's pollution to grow and change form, personally making for some of my favorite commentary in the series, and whose director Yoshimitsu Banno is the reason we have the Monsterverse films, which I'll share more on later. And I also have to name the 15th film of the series, Terra Mechagodzilla, for being Ishiro Honda's final directed film, a film that carries so much weight as Godzilla has an epic final fight for this era with Faux Mechagodzilla, before we get what felt like the perfect swan song for the series at the time. I do, however, don't want to skip another entry in the series, the 13th film, Godzilla vs. Megalon, because it exists as a driving point shaping the majority of people's thoughts due to its tone, it being so uniquely successful on many fronts at the time as a Godzilla film.
You skipped Godzilla vs. Gigan.
Yeah, he did. Also,
well, I mean, yeah.
Also, class, did Honda direct Godzilla vs. Megalon?
No.
Jun Fukuda.
Yeah, it's another Fukuda film.
It was a JF. It was Fukuda.
Franchise. Godzilla vs. Megalon features an inventor making a robot named Jet Jaguar, which is stolen by a group of subterranean people named the Seatopians, woken up by a recent nuclear weapons test, and wind to send the beetle god Megalon to the surface to get revenge. Long story short, Jet Jaguar steps out of it, Megalon summons Gigan, an alien with hook hands to come in for assistance, and as Jet Jaguar is literally being jumped, he is able to summon Godzilla for help, who's able to turn the tides of battle, perform an epic jump kick, and save the day. Now, when people think about my description of this film, what stands out to you? One aspect may be the clearly heroic portrayal of Godzilla, which falls in line with what I said about the portrayal of the character at this point in the series. Another bit might be the extremely goofy pick up on, even from the description of the film, which again falls in line with everything happening in the series at this time and some of these stereotypes that you hear about Godzilla, and the cheaply made suit that was made in somehow less than a week, which does not help that impression. Now, when I talk about this film,
I would say this. I'm going to be honest. The 73 Godzilla suit is better than some of the other Godzilla suits of the series. Like I'd say that it's probably, I'd say it looks more put together than the Sea Monster suit, which I know was a butchered suit. Looks better than the Son of Godzilla suit.
Granted, pretty much every other Showa era suit is better than the Son of Godzilla suit.
What'd you say?
Which one's the 73?
Megalon's suit.
Megalon?
Megalo Goji is the actual suit name.
Show me a pic. Or
don't.
Time and some of these stereotypes that you hear about Godzilla, and the cheaply made.
This one.
I fucking hate that suit.
I will slap you.
I will slap you.
That.
I will send you to Jesus. I've used that 3 times today.
I hate this more than Son of
enough people to see. I think you've sent enough people to see the man.
I haven't.
Dave's Volt Infidel.
There are way too many more people who deserve to pay for their sins.
Not how that
But not me, though.
When other people talk about this film, it's very clear Godzilla has a very limited appearance in the film. He shows up very late in the film. I think it's not until the 3rd act that he's finally here. Some people think of this as a glorified cameo. In fact, there's actually rumors that this film is a Jet Jaguar film, which is not the case. It was always a Godzilla film. But it speaks to this narrative shift that started, at least for me, around Mothra versus Godzilla. But I think we can argue it actually started in King Kong versus Godzilla. And I think the people at Toho realized that Godzilla was really hard to develop as a character, have any kind of shock value around. So they realized, let's pull him out of the first act entirely so that way we can develop our humans and other kaiju, then have him pop up afterwards. And speaking of humans, one of the worst misnomers about Godzilla are the poor human characters, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. During the Showa.
So, real quick. In terms of the film's appearances, I would say that it's true for both of the Ghidorah films where Godzilla showed up pretty late. Godzilla shows up pretty late in Sea Monster. Godzilla showed up like right away in Son of Godzilla. To show our monsters really isn't even about Godzilla himself. Godzilla shows up like right away in All Monsters Attack, counting stock footage. If not counting the stock footage, Godzilla is in so many fights in that movie because it's a clip show that I would say like we can't really include it. Godzilla is like, I think Godzilla shows up like more closer to the end of the first act in Hedorah, about halfway through for Gigan, 3rd through Megalon, and then Godzilla shows up pretty early in versus Mechagodzilla, and later on in Terra Mechagodzilla. So yeah, I think it makes sense that Godzilla showed up later, but I think it's less to do with the fact like how he describes him, more due to the fact that like the films were like kids were the primary people coming to the films, so they needed to keep upping the ante, and they were also competing with things like Ultraman and Gamera, which had more monsters and more monster fights, allowing for the other monsters to be developed, where Gamera stayed pretty much the same thing for Ultraman. So as a result, they just made Godzilla more like those monsters.
Yeah. Considering just how
Black Eye will slap you. I will smack.
No, man.
Blackaroonie. You're a good man.
But the eyes looking off at times, no.
The slander, I will not take 84 slander in my house. Do not make me summon the Zim knee. I will use the Zim knee if needed.
Heisei and Reiwa eras, the humans are really endearing for the most part and really added the charm for these films. It's just during the Millennium era, the American films, where I find that all to collapse. But going back to Godzilla versus Megalon, a lot of the misunderstandings.
The Millennium era has good human characters.
Yeah, I just want to go back to what he said.
Humans and other kaiju, then have them pop up afterwards. And speaking of humans, one of the worst misnomers about Godzilla are the poor human characters, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. During the Showa, Heisei, and Reiwa era, the humans are really endearing for the most part and really added the charm for these films. It's just during the Millennium era, the American films, where I find that all to collapse.
Interesting that he specifically said.
The Millennium era has good human characters. The Monsterverse has debatably good human characters.
Yeah, the Millennium era has fine characters.
Do people forget about Akane Yashiro?
GMK's entire cast?
Yes.
Especially Admiral Tachibana from that film.
Yeah.
G2K's cast being pretty decent all around, even with the
Captain Douglas Gordon, motherfucker.
I was about to mention Douglas Gordon.
Yeah, Chicho, Akane, Tachibana,
Audrey.
No.
No.
Category from 2000.
Animal's the good one.
What's it called? Major from Megaguirus. And yeah, I can name several good characters from every movie.
Going back to Godzilla vs. Megalon, a lot of the misunderstandings about Godzilla caused at other points of the film's history are actually amplified at this one film in the series. See, in Japan, there were diminishing returns in the overall sales for the tickets to the Godzilla movies. To put this in perspective, the sixth film of the franchise, Invasion of the Astro Monster, sold 3.8 million tickets in Japan. The ninth film of the franchise, Destroy All Monsters, would sell 2.5 million tickets. Godzilla vs. Gigan Movie 12 sold a bit under 1.8 million. And this 13th film, Godzilla vs. Megalon, would sell 980,000 tickets. So maybe we should wrap up this series. And to be fair, all of Toho's previous franchises at this point had stopped, and there were a dwindling number of movie theaters in Japan, with many rapidly closing, which was a very concerning time for the film industry there. In the US, however, Godzilla would find a new height of popularity that was not achieved with earlier releases in the series. See, while all those previous films were dubbed, although by various companies, and all those films were theatrical releases that came out at various points of time after the initial Japanese release, there was a massive promotion strategy for the 1976 release of Godzilla vs. Megalon. Posters, buttons of the characters, and comic books calling Jet Jaguar Robot Man being given to patrons at the movie theater. And maybe more shockingly, while some fans of the series, especially those in Japan, hate the film because of the influence that it had on the perception of Godzilla, many Americans, even those who looked down at the time at the other films of the franchise, finally believed that the series was being done right. And maybe it was my experience seeing this film for the first time as part of a Godzilla secret double feature screen at the Alamo Drafthouse, but I have to say, I actually really dig the movie. And not only were American fans really loving this chopped up and cobbled look at the film in the series, but Godzilla would have its first network television premiere on Tuesday, March 15th, 1977 at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on NBC, exposing the film to more, but sadly in a 1 hour time slot that led the film to be cut to a meager 48 minutes to allow for commercials, and even more sadly having bumpers featuring popular comedic actor John Belushi in a Godzilla suit hosting the program that are somehow lost to the annals of time. Now, the rights for the specific film are slightly confusing, with some sources naming the American cut of the film now running at 79 minutes, was public domain, or at least believed to be public domain, which led to a version of the film up on Mystery Science Theater 3000 at the end of its second season. The first of the two final episodes of that season would be centered around Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster, the English dub of the Ebra movie, and one of the Godzilla American cuts of Godzilla vs. Megalon. Now, for younger viewers, Mystery Science Theater 3000 was a show based around a group of fictional characters that would watch B-movies and provide commentary on them. Think of your favorite reaction YouTuber before that was a thing. Now, after doing some research on this time in the show's history, it seems to be widely accepted by fans in these early episodes they were not.
Yo, what's up?
You're my favorite reaction streamer.
I'm about to say, like, you're my favorite reaction. Megalon is stupid, but we allow it. Yeah, I'd say Megalon is definitely very stupid, but I would argue
it has Jet Jaguar, therefore it is good.
Megalon does a lot of things about Godzilla better than 98 does, and I think it handles the idea of a silly monster brawl better than Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire.
Well, okay, I need to rewatch versus Megalon. Also, yes, Megalon as a character is stupid. Like, he's an actual dimwit.
I mean, that is kind of the point, though.
Like, I love him. I live for his and Gigan's bromance.
One thing I definitely want to do is, in my Scar King Slop villain video, I want to compare him a lot to Megalon, because Megalon is just a more fun to watch and interesting Scar King.
Scar King has a lot of points of comparison. I think another one that you could probably bring up is Zigra.
Zigra, oh, from Gamera.
Yeah.
I might do.
Here's the thing. I disagree with the comparison between Scar King and Megalon, because at least with Megalon, he's supposed to be dumb. Scar King isn't supposed to be dumb in the movie, but he's dumb.
That's a point in favor of Megalon. That's why Megalon's just a better villain.
Yes.
Well, I feel like the monsters I know from the Godzilla series I was going to compare was Megalon, Mechagodzilla, and probably I might Destroy definitely doesn't work. So probably it is just going to be Megalon and Mechagodzilla, because if the Monsterverse is supposed to be quote unquote a new Showa era, then it'd be good just to compare Showa era villains. I might do Gigan.
I think you can also draw the comparison with Mechanicon.
Maybe. In the Discord, if you want to lay out your point as to why, I could definitely see that.
Sure.
The best. And because of the IP rights issues releasing some of these episodes on streaming and home video, I was only able to watch this episode by a fan who uploaded it on Facebook several years ago. Jeff seemed generally pretty awkward, but the concept was fresh, and there wasn't a groove found until the show left the Comedy Channel and went to Comedy Central. However, I can't speak to the show, its quality, its fans, or the culture surrounding it, but it's concerning to have found several threads on Reddit speaking to many fans finding members of the show to be racist, specifically towards Asian people and Asian films for a long time. And many found that to be especially weird, considering that they spoke out about racism towards black people in many of the films that they've watched across many seasons. And obviously, I believe that we should be calling out all forms of racism. I'm just highlighting conversations that I've read. I can't speak much more to the show than this.
Then, in this case, I don't think there was any reason to actually bring it up.
No. I mean, they're pretty equal opportunity in terms of who they make fun of, really.
Yeah. So if the argument is that they're pretty lenient when it comes to racist portrayals of black people, then I would say it would make sense that more than likely they aren't being racist towards Asian people.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like this is completely irrelevant, but I only think the reason why he kept it is because it's part of the whole Americans don't understand Godzilla, so Americans being racist towards Japanese.
Well, what I'm saying
people.
here is that he's being. What I'm saying here is like Mr. Science Theater makes fun of like pretty much anybody, really. Like,
oh no, I understand the point you're making. I'm just saying that his point and him bringing it up is completely superfluous to any point that he is making. And if anything, it is just a malicious point because I think that his entire video is bad faith.
Oh, it's absolutely malicious.
that wasn't even a question.
With lots of dead air, not many of the jokes landing, and giving me an immediate understanding of why the Ever episode is not remembered as finally in the US as Godzilla vs. Megalon. And then we get to that episode, and it's pretty racist and maybe uncomfortable immediately. It's also a shame because it also is a better episode of 2 with way less silence and more jokes that have some kind of semblance of humor, granting this film a little more fondness than I would expect. Between this airing of the film on Mystery Science Theater 3000, it's
so. Do you want to, I don't know. Can you be maliciously stupid?
Yes.
Yes. But no, again, for like we did it once, we'll do it again because he decided not to illustrate any of the points he's saying and in the accusations of racism. Well,
you gnome fuck.
You get another gnome. You get another gnome.
Rest in piss, bozo. You will not be missed.
Yeah, rest in piss.
Rest in piss. Rest in piss, clown boy.
It's notably wide theatrical release and its easy availability on public domain, including Video Treasures, a budget video company producing many copies of the film in the public domain. To name that Godzilla vs. Megalon was one of their best-selling titles, the American perception of Godzilla would be forever changed, and ironically one of the most popular and accessible films in the US, being one of the least liked and poorly financially received films in Japan. It kind of explains everything to me, which becomes much more notable considering the fact that the popularity around this film might have actually shaped the 1998 American Godzilla film in some kind of way. Now, what follows at this point is a weird period in Godzilla's history. The second longest hiatus in the series would follow without any active news of Godzilla entry for 9 years. During this time, while a number of both American and Japanese entries were being considered, it was clear that the $33 million made from licensing Godzilla's likeness on just about everything you can imagine made it clear audiences wanted more Godzilla. In fact, even 10,000 fans in Japan formed the Godzilla Resurrection Company trying to convince Toho to bring back the creature. Now, a strange bit of circumstance would actually convince Toho to make more Godzilla movies. That's when a small fortune fell into their lap, and Toho would receive a license to the entirety of Disney's catalog to distribute their films in Japan. This provided extra cash flow to the company, but the largest sign that Godzilla was ready for a theatrical return was actually at Toho's 50th anniversary film festival. They decided to re-release several Godzilla films, which drew shockingly larger crowds than Kurosawa's Seven Samurai, and compared to Pinocchio and Bambi, they had similarly sized crowds. Producers at Toho were also not ignorant of the growing popularity of dark science fiction films that seemed to embrace the rich social commentary rather than being solely creature features like Alien, and even remakes of other films of the 50s such as The Thing and Invasion of the Body Snatchers being box office and critical successes, so why couldn't Godzilla be the same? This would bring us...
If I recall correctly, The Thing wasn't a box office success. The Thing...
No, it was not.
The Thing was absolutely despised when it first released.
Yeah, E.T. swept the box office while The Thing and Blade Runner like pretty much floundered when they first came out.
Then again, Blade Runner. That reminds me, I still need to watch Blade Runner.
You haven't watched Blade Runner?
Yeah, I haven't watched it.
Dude, I lived under a rock for years.
Is your name Patrick?
No.
No, this is Patrick.
No, this is Patrick.
Is this the Krusty
No, this is Patrick.
No, this is Patrick. I'm not a Krusty Krab.
All right, period. You
Do Americans understand
tell me.
Godzilla? No, this is Patrick. I'm just imagining that Patrick, like Patrick's head over Leonidas's body from 300.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people thought of that when they first heard that scene or watched 300.
No man says that Americans don't understand Godzilla. This is blasphemy. This is madness.
Madness.
This is Patrick.
Somebody make an edit of that, please.
You know, I think someone did make an edit of that where they say, this is Patrick. This is madness. No, this is Patrick.
Just
Bro, why does the food in Monster Hunter Wilds look so good?
It always looks good, but they what's it called? You could have like a clip of the pit from 300, and you just hear SpongeBob's voice coming out from the messenger. It's like, Patrick, I was supposed to beat you up.
You're supposed to hit me, remember?
Oh, okay.
Which would streamline continuity, both by ignoring every film post the first Godzilla film, meaning this is a monster that has grown only slightly beyond myth after his first documented appearance in the 54 film, one that also returns a character to his villainous origins with a dark tone radiating throughout these films, even when they dip into fantasy. And while the Showa films had continuity, it's emphasized more so in the Heisei era films, also with a Godzilla that is 30 meters taller than the previous iteration of the creature at 80 meters total. This really helped Godzilla reach a much more formidable height against the skyline of Tokyo, and there now being a new renewed interest and need for social commentary, sadly against the fears of nuclear obliteration because the fears of the Cold War at the time. Toho had a message to share with the return of Godzilla, and his return is horrifying. Director Koji Hashimoto approached this project with necessary seriousness, naming in the first Godzilla film in 1954 before, the message was against nuclear testing. This time the theme is broader, the risk of nuclear energy in all of its forms. This is the message I want to spread to the world with this film. The Return of Godzilla would open December 15th, 1984, drawing 800,000 ticket sales in a week against the likes of Gremlins during the competitive holiday season, but become the highest grossing Japanese film that year. And yes, despite the resounding success of The Return of Godzilla, Hollywood was not interested in Toho's asking price of $5 million for licensing the film, which led to New World Pictures taking on the rights for a meager $500,000. They would bring back Raymond Burr from the American dub, and many critics did not like this new American dub of the film Godzilla 1985, with some naming that they thought the dubbing was intentionally bad. The combination of this and global titles in the film industry would lead the next Godzilla film, Godzilla vs. Beyonce, which features a behemoth fighting a half-human, half-rose hybrid into Godzilla's DNA, would unfortunately do poorly at Japan's box office and lead the film to be an HBO release, leaving the creature without a theatrical release until the Millennium era. Even though Beyonce is a favorite of mine and the boldness of the...
So real quick, so this made 84.
You're echoing.
Is that better? No.
No.
What about now? Oh, it's C.
Oh, for God's sake. All
I'm
right,
sorry.
hold on a sec.
It's okay.
Yeah. So does that mean we'll retcon Showa series into Oblivion? Yes.
Well, the Showa series in the Heisei timeline is retconned outside of 54, but the Showa series has its own continuity. I know personally for myself, I'll never consider the Showa series I have complete until Zone Fighter gets a release in the States. There we go.
I want to see Zone Fighter come back in some way, shape, or form.
It'd be interesting to see how they do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Better now?
Yeah. Better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Zim, I could be catching up with Dragon Ball Daima. You don't want to catch up with Daima because Daima's trash. I'm sorry, but like, I had no interest in Daima at all. And then I remember when Super Saiyan 4 was revealed, I thought it was just another fan still, because I'd seen so many pictures of like different stills, like teasing Super Saiyan God, teasing another form that wasn't like Super Saiyan 3 or like a new version of Super Saiyan 4 or a different form altogether. And I was like, oh, okay. Whatever. It's probably not real. And then I see it like on my news feed that like Daima broke the internet or broke Crunchyroll because of Super Saiyan 4. And I'm like, oh, that was real. Okay. And not to mention the fact that like Daima being canon also has like so many issues with it as well.
I think they just straight up have turned Daima and Super into their own separate continuities.
Here's Daima should just be its own thing. There's I don't really see any reason to have Daima connect to really anything else. Is it a fun little side thing? Maybe for some people. Like I watched a few clips, but outside of that, there really wasn't anything there that I was like all that interested in. Like I like GT.
Okay, but we got Bulma saying that she'll never take a bath again with Vegeta.
Vegeta knew he had his priorities right. He knew he needed to pound them cheeks. But like I'll say this, like I like GT. I like GT a lot more than I like Daima because I like hit Super Saiyan 4 more than Daima.
You have no idea how many people you pissed off by saying that.
Good. I like
GT as well.
I like Heroes. I like what goes on in the Heroes timeline more than I do Daima. I also like Heroes timeline more than I do Super. I'm not a big fan of Super really all that much. But it's not even canon. It's not even official. I like Dragon Ball AF more than I like Daima, and AF had so many weird ideas to it. But at least I loved AF more than I like Daima.
Vegeta, how many times did you clap those cheeks? It's over 9,000.
No, what's it called? Nappa's just sitting there as a ghost in the walls, being like Vegeta.
Jesus.
Zim, read the Heroes manga. It's peak. I've seen bits and pieces of Heroes manga. I know if there is like a place where I can read it in its entirety.
Let's keep it moving. It's all right. Just trying to keep this chugging.
Oh, no, I got all night.
Oh, I almost closed that entirely.
Next few entries of the series would understandably be a bit more safe. Next, we get a sci-fi time-traveling film featuring
Also, wait.
Gojira, ability at Japan's box office, and lead the film to versus Biollante, which features a behemoth fighting a half-human, half-rose hybrid mixed with Godzilla's DNA, to unfortunately do poorly at Japan's box office, and lead the film to be an HBO release, leaving the creature without a theatrical release until the Millennium era.
Okay, he does bring that
Even
up.
though Biollante is a favorite of mine, and the boldness of this entry makes it one of my favorites as well, the next few entries of the series would understandably be a bit more safe. Next, we get a sci-fi time-traveling film featuring King Ghidorah, Mothra returning for a fourth
So King Ghidorah being influenced by Back to the Future.
For this era, also featuring
Mothra having an Indiana Jones scene.
A dark doppelganger Batra, a fifth film featuring Mechagodzilla and also a baby Godzilla who's far more endearing than Manila, with Rodan also being squeezed into this picture. Then Godzilla getting...
They definitely dip more into the dinosaur stuff of Mechagodzilla too, but I wouldn't say it's like very much like trying to ape Jurassic Park in that aspect.
No.
We can blame another Godzilla movie for that.
And then Destroyer has like that big aliens reference there.
Oh yes.
Did Space Godzilla have any overt like tie-ins, like references?
They're like things that was like directly referencing.
Yeah.
None I can think of.
It's been a while since I've seen that film.
It's not been that long since I've seen it. But I don't remember anything like any American films I can think of off the top of my head being referenced.
Yeah. I mean, when you think of like American movies influencing some of the Heisei films, it's like King Ghidorah definitely had the Back to the Future, Terminator. Sort of references. Mothra Battle for Earth has the Indiana Jones scene, but other than that, not much else. And Destroyer has the sequence with that rip that's like very reminiscent of Aliens, whereas Mechagodzilla 2 and Space Godzilla, there's not really much.
The Jurassic Park references are like very, very loose. So I would say like in those cases, Mechagodzilla 2 and Space Godzilla are the most Godzilla films, including in that case.
Like if you're saying Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 2 is drawing from Jurassic Park, then that's not entirely true. And if you're just saying general dinosaur movies, then you'd be talking about the entire Godzilla franchise.
Yeah. The only thing that like the closest, and like this is a stretch. I don't even believe this. This is me just like playing devil's advocate. Is that due to the fact that like they really hone in on the dinosaur aspects of Rodan and Godzilla? That they're trying to bring in more people because of the fact that Jurassic Park was coming out around the same time, but that is a huge stretch, and I don't even think that's accurate.
Did Godzilla 2 come out before or after Jurassic Park?
Off the top of my head, I don't remember. Let's check.
It came out during the same year, but it probably like months after Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park
was a September release, if I remember.
June.
No, it was June.
Yeah, Mechagodzilla 2 was December 11th.
Yeah, so Jurassic Park had come out first, and more than likely, because it's June, July, August, September. So, like, Jurassic Park would have been coming around the same time, because it's usually like 3 months before an American film ends up in Japan for the most part.
Yeah, here's the thing. Like, in order for Mechagodzilla 2 to have, like, you know, taken influence from Jurassic Park, they would have had to have known that Jurassic Park would be, like, a massive success, like, while they were doing production with Mechagodzilla 2. I mean, like, with versus King Ghidorah, like, there was at least, like, you know, since that film came out in 1991, they pretty much definitely, and they already had, like, at least, like, one Terminator movie and like a trilogy of Back to the Future films that were all pretty damn successful. So by the time they were working on King Ghidorah, like they would have had to have known that T2 would be coming up, and so there's like an assumption on their part to be like, okay, that one's pretty much going to be a huge hit as well. So they would definitely take it off of that. With Jurassic Park, it's like, I don't know. I don't think they would have had enough, like, they would need to be clairvoyant in order for the inspirations for JP to be intentional.
They need my kind of ability to tell the future.
Exactly.
Yes.
This features a creature made from the remnants of the original Oxygen Destroyer that killed Godzilla, creating a beautiful loop of this franchise, and without spoiling it, is another one of my favorites of this franchise, and one that beautifully finds finality through the death of Godzilla and allowing the creature to rest, at least for now. At the time, many of these films were considered failures for Japan due to the inability to release the majority of the Heisei films in the US until they released the 1998 film. But if each of these films...
What do you mean the majority were failures? Weren't they all fairly successful?
They were... Let me pause. Let me stop sharing. I'm going to check.
King Ghidorah was a hit. Godzilla and Mothra Battle for Earth, I think, was probably like one of the highest grossing Godzilla movies.
It was the highest grossing Heisei film, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was. Mothra Battle for Earth was definitely a hit. Mechagodzilla 2 probably was a hit as well, and I think Destroya was also somewhat of a hit because of how culturally significant it was as being like the film that kind of ends Godzilla.
No, yeah, you're definitely right. I just want to pull the attendance stats because I know I have them somewhere.
It's just like where are you getting this idea that these were all failures?
Because he needs to blame the Americans and the white man about their not understanding the Godzillers.
Mm-hmm.
Although if you look at the current state of Japanese Godzilla films, I think it's fairly obvious.
Well, here's the thing, if Godzilla vs. Biollante performed poorly at the Japanese box office, then the Japanese don't understand Godzilla either. By his logic.
But yeah, so looking at this right here, the anime films are the lowest in terms of their like.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Followed by at the top is Mothra and Destroya, with most of the Showa films and the 2 Reiwa films seeping into the top. So at least like the argument could be made that due to the like weird shenanigans that the anime films had, where they were originally going to be a series and it became movies, and then they had rushed like releases into theaters, and not a lot of people were like going to see them. But at least you could argue that the live action films are doing really well. Space Godzilla did fairly comparable to the other Heisei films. Yeah, the interesting thing about the Heisei series is the fact that it has very consistent attendance. Where Mothra ends up at the top.
98 is the highest grossing of the American ones in Japan.
The highest attended of the American films.
Oh, attended. Right.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody loves 98. Number 12, baby.
Bro, come on.
But like, then what's interesting to note is the fact that you have with the Millennium films, stark series of films that like really step between all of them. With GMK right here, with an American film and a Heisei film before 2000, 3 other films before you get another Millennium film. But and then what's interesting is the fact that Megaguirus was attended more than Tokyo SOS. If I was to guess off of what I saw where these films would have ranked, I would have assumed that Megaguirus and Tokyo SOS would have been switched. And with how everyone like says Megaguirus is like terribly boring, the Megaguirus would land where Final Wars does. Like if anything, if I was to guess, I would say GMK would still be here. Against Mechagodzilla's here, Tokyo SOS here, 2000 here, then Final Wars, then Megaguirus.
Yeah.
When it comes to what people usually say about the series.
Yeah. The thing pertaining to the Heisei films, like, aside from 98 sticking out as much as it did, the fact that the Heisei films are all relatively bunched together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's only one outlier, and I think
it's Biollante. It's the only film that has an original monster in it, and at least when you're looking at this, like if you remove 2014, if you have to remove 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you remove 5 films. That still means like a good bit of the Showa series. Well, actually, you'd have to remove all the Heisei films too, at least with 84. So like, because 80. Nope, that's 98. Where is 84? 84 is here. You still have Destroy Monster Son of Godzilla doing better than it. And then you have Ebera, Invasion of Master Monsters, Ghidorah. All these films still doing better than Biollante. It does kind of make sense that they really wanted the course correct, because that course correction gets them right up here with King Ghidorah, getting them above those 2 Showa films. Yeah. And then Mothra gets them all the way up here.
Yeah, Mothra, like Godzilla versus Mothra, Godzilla versus Space Godzilla, also, they both do feature original monsters, because you mentioned that with Biollante, but Biollante in her film is the sole other monster bar Godzilla himself.
Yeah, well, the thing with Godzilla versus Mothra is that it's Mothra, Godzilla, but then the new monster is just like a Dark Mothra, and same thing with Space Godzilla.
Thing applies to Space Godzilla with the same thing applies to Space Godzilla with Mogera.
Mogera is a returning monster, not an original.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Both Mothra versus Godzilla and Godzilla versus Space Godzilla have the new monster in tandem with the returner. Batra and Space Godzilla go into the fray alongside Mogera and Mothra.
Well, who would be the returning monster? In Destroya then, aside from
Destroya is a weird outlier, but
you could argue that Godzilla's son returning is technically the returning original monster, and then
The
there's so much
returning
other.
monster is the devil from the Bible.
But yeah, like you could
there
say,
you go.
say like a child of Godzilla, or because of the fact that there's so much tying Destroyer to the original, that kind of carries the weight for it in terms of that.
The cultural,
but I think, yeah, the cultural like,
context
idea of
behind
Godzilla dying is what carries it there.
Yeah. Alice, Mothra fans unite! Can't wait for that new comic. Let's go.
To release the majority of the Heisei films in the US until the release of the 1998 film. But if each of these films cost about $10 million and they each made about $30 million, they all still made about $150 million in merchandising after that. These films were a resounding success even if the folks at Toho didn't think so. Now, I do briefly want to talk about the 1998 film, a film that also shaped American what Godzilla is, and while this is very documented, it's very clear much of what I named before that shapes Godzilla and his greatness is not here with this film. I'm shocked to see what I don't remember from being only 2 at the time of this film's release. I do not like the works of Roland Emmerich, who's best known for Independence Day, The Day After Tomorrow, 2012, and of course Moonfall. While I remember the excessive marketing mentions for this film, including Taco Bell paying a fat $60 million to promote alongside the movie, there was no promotion of the look of this foul eyesore until the film's release, which is hilarious and is also a decision that hurt all the merchandising for this film. And what I mean by this is there's no way to sell any t-shirts or any toys until the movie's finally out. If the movie was bad, well, that's a big risk for so many of the people that would be carrying all this merchandising, which of course the movie was bad, and of course they did not make that much on merchandising after this point. Now, if you don't know how owning a movie theater works, you're typically asked by the studios to fork over about 60% of your ticket sales to the studio, so that way they make some money and you get to eat 40%. That's why popcorn is so expensive at the movie theater. And after forking over 60%, you typically give less and less every single week, therefore it's much more advantageous for a theater to hold a movie for many weeks. Well, instead of giving that traditional 60%, theaters were being asked to give 80%, and for theaters in small towns with small theaters, they were asked to give 90%. Now, we all know what this film is, and its aversion to the original creature and its origins is likely what makes this a catastrophic failure for many, as well as the film's desire to be just a popcorn flick devoid of much meaning, existing as a mostly meaningless piece of entertainment.
I've never seen that.
You never seen that ad? I saw that ad years ago.
I have not seen that before. That's crazy.
I've seen that before. That is. Oh God!
Wow.
I've seen it. I keep forgetting it exists. Oh my God!
Like, back up to that. I want to see that again.
Well, real quick here.
Now, I do briefly want to talk about the 1998 film, a film that also shaped Americans' understandings of what Godzilla is, and while this is very documented, it's very clear much of what I named before that shapes Godzilla and his greatness is not here with this film.
We're saying much of it, but then also we'll go all the way back here.
Of Japan. Godzilla can be a force of nature. Godzilla can also be a giant radioactive iguana who craves fish. Godzilla.
By the logic of your argument, Godzilla can be what you've just stated, which is the 98 film. So
Make it make sense, bro.
He's out of line, but he's right, Zim.
No, he's not.
Nick, you are really pushing it today.
Any t-shirts or any toys until the movie's finally out. If the movie was bad, well, that's a big risk for so many of the people that would be carrying all this merchandising, which of course the movie was bad, and of course they did not make that much on merchandising after this point. Now, if you don't know how owning a movie theater works, you're typically asked by the studio.
They actually did pretty well.
Sales to the studio, so that way they make some money and you get to eat 40%. That's why popcorn is so expensive at the movie theater. And after forking over 60%, you typically give less and less every single week, therefore it's much more advantageous for a theater to hold a movie for many weeks. Well, instead of giving that traditional 60%, theaters were being asked to give 80%, and for theaters in small towns with small theaters, they were asked to give 90%. Now, we all know what this film is, and its aversion to the original creature and its origins is likely what makes this a catastrophic failure for many, as well as the film's desire to be just a popcorn flick devoid of much meaning. Whenever I talk about this film online, people always mention the cartoon response. Guys, the cartoon is sick and it's also not the movie. The movie is a big flaming piece of dog shit. And the film was so bad, Toho said, guess what, guys? Let's make some more movies. We gotta fix this. And the Millennium movies are just fine to me. There's again the understandable decision like the Heisei films to remove continuity.
Again, I don't understand why you're saying that Godzilla can be 98, but then says the film is like dog shit. Like, here's the thing. For me, if you're gonna trash 98, go all the way in and trash 98. Don't like try to be like, oh, this Godzilla is valid earlier in your video. But also, don't be a person who's like, oh yeah, I watched 98. I hate it so much, when you really don't have too much else to say about it. Like, stay in your lane, people. I can hate 98, and that's fine. Only I can. And I encourage other people to do so.
To make the films much easier to understand, but the original Godzilla is no longer necessarily canon for all these films, and with each entry there's a whole new continuity, with most of these films not being connected. In Godzilla 2000 Millennium, the first of these films, none of the previous films are canon, including the original Godzilla. In Godzilla vs.
No, 54 is canon.
54 is still canon.
54 is still canon. It's just that it's not a necessary watch to understand 2000.
You push boundaries, Black.
You're pushing it, bro.
Black really knows what's up.
Again, Black. I have the Zim knee. We know what it does to you.
Godzilla is now canon. In Giant Monsters All Out Attack, there's a reference to the OG Godzilla and actually the 1998 film. And then we have 2 films featuring Mechagodzilla.
A reference?
All the million films.
What do you mean? Dude, the OG film is the crux of GMK. What do you mean it's just a reference?
All Out Attack, there's a reference to the OG Godzilla and actually the 1998 film. And then we have two films featuring Mechagodzilla sharing the same continuity, pulling from the OG Godzilla, the 61 Mothra film, and a variety of other kaiju films of the 60s and 70s not associated with Godzilla. And then there's the final film of this continuity, Final Wars, where again there's fresh continuity. These films mostly serve as film popcorn flicks, with none of them being outright bad, but most of them being fairly thin or non-existent in their commentary, and some familiar characters of this franchise, such as Mothra and Ghidorah.
I love the fact he's saying like very few commentary, yet GMK is playing in the background.
Well, he's about to mention GMK.
Over time, there are some aspects of this time period that I do enjoy, such as the ferocious nature of Godzilla and Giant Monster's all-out attack with his cold white eyes, and also the film leaning into camp as much as it can with Final Wars. What I will say about the end of this era, while Final Wars' reception is far more warm than it was initially, Godzilla's 50th anniversary was in a much more dire place than 70th with the release of -1. Final Wars cost nearly $20 million, making it the most expensive project in the series at the time in Japan, and only made about half of that money and receiving at best a mixed reception. For many, it was believed that this 28th film of the franchise may be its last, but hope comes from the least likely of places. Enter Yoshimitsu Banno, director of the 1971 Godzilla vs. Hedorah, and I said he was coming back, right? Well, at the end of that film, there's a cliffhanger implying the return of Hedorah, which was shut down immediately by Godzilla producer Tamayuki Tanaka, who believed that Banno had ruined the franchise and Banno was no longer allowed to direct films for Toho, would never serve as a director for a feature film after this point. It's at this point where he consistently asked to direct Godzilla films. Before in 2004, right before the release of Final Wars, Banno was given the rights to make an IMAX 3D short film titled Godzilla 3D to Max, Godzilla vs. Hedorah, featuring a new iteration of the creature called Deathla. Over the years, a full production team would develop, and the license would expand for Banno to direct a feature-length 3D film, which would sadly dissolve when Legendary Pictures was offered to fund a feature-length Godzilla film. This would transform into a new take of the creature that would us to closer to Toho's roots and stay far, far away from the 1998 film. As you can tell, this leads to the beginning of the Monsterverse and the 2014 Godzilla. It has been that this one man's pure will and determination is maybe the sole reason we have this much more recent iteration of Godzilla films. My thoughts on the Monsterverse films is that while they're all mostly enjoyable, they all have very little to say and pale in comparison to some of the best of the Japanese films. Controversially,
at least half of them have thematic substance.
Yes.
Pretty prominent thematic substance.
Yes.
You know, it's so weirdly just dishonest to me that he's like talking about how Americans don't understand Godzilla, but yet he neglects most of the American films, which I feel would be very if Americans don't understand Godzilla, maybe talk about the Godzilla films that were made by Americans.
As well as the thing is, like, he's already said 98 was a valid Godzilla in the opening of his video. And if we're going purely off of the Monsterverse, you have, if we don't include Kong Skull Island, then you could say it is half, because you have 2014 Condom themes, the Kong versus films being no themes. So at that point, America is arguably, we'll give 98 a half. So we'll give 98. So it's a 2.5.
Yeah.
2.5.
And that's at least, because theme can be argued 4GXK. I wouldn't go as far as to say it is fully thematic, but you can draw things from there. You can.
You know what?
Are we talking thematic in terms of like, how do I say this? Like the overt themes or something, or like the subtle themes?
Either one works.
You know what the thing about all this that just kind of puzzles me? Like this video is called Americans Don't Understand Godzilla. And now we're the last third of this video is now getting to the American stuff. Like if you need
the last part of the third half is what finally talks about the Americans.
Yeah, like
less than 3 minutes. Oh, let's do 98 here. So 26 to 27. So that's 1 minute. Like only like 4 minutes really talking about the American Godzilla films.
Well, wasn't that mostly about the advertising when you talk about the 98 stuff?
I am being generous.
That's even worse.
I know.
And he only touched on, he touched a little bit on the 56 cut of the original Gojira. And he only touched very, very little on the Godzilla 1985. And he didn't even mention Gigantus, and he only mentioned like the fact that there was that King Kong vs. Godzilla was mired by a goofy English dub.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna say American, hold on a sec. If your video's consensus is to be that Americans do not understand Godzilla, and you're gonna go do this whole retrospective and go what seems to be like this really long preamble, I expect you to go a little more in depth on why Americans do not understand Godzilla, as opposed to just giving us the historical retrospective while just sprinkling in bits here and there about why Americans don't understand Godzilla. That Americans don't understand Godzilla without, and not even coming up with all very good sources, if any sources at all, throughout the video.
Okay, this comment sums it up perfectly. Americans don't understand Godzilla. The American that doesn't understand Godzilla.
Exactly. Yes.
Due to its willingness to stick
Oh,
to the
wait.
tone in comparison to some of the best of the Japanese films. Controversially, my favorite of the Monsterverse films is Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire, due to its willingness to stick to the tone of the campy late Showa era films, and I appreciate that connection. And while I did say the humans are better.
Again, I'm blind, but he's right.
Shut your mouth.
Shut it!
No, literally, he literally just said it's in line with the Showa film, so therefore Godzilla's Kong.
America does understand Godzilla.
So your point is completely obliterated.
You just took a giant shit on your entire thesis statement of this video.
When he said 98 was valid already, so like it took him this long to get to the Monsters films and say that it's bad, but like remember,
favorite giant lizard. With 70 years of Godzilla and 38 films to come through, I'd argue that most people haven't seen all the films, and from the number of video essays that I've seen go viral from having a poor understanding of the creature, or so many comments I've heard when American critics got a hold of Godzilla,
like yours,
arbitrary is ignored, minimized, or misunderstood. Godzilla can be a villain, a terror striking at any moment. He can be a hero protecting the children of Japan. Godzilla can be a force of nature. Godzilla can also be a giant radioactive iguana who craves fish. Godzilla
again, you destroyed it right here.
That is, how many times has he kneecapped his entire point?
Yeah, he fucked over the premise of his video earlier on, and then now this point about GXK made by America understanding the late Showa era of Godzilla, like that's just the final nail in the coffin now.
Again, what's it called?
It's done.
KOTM, slap his nuts. Bela, smack his nuts.
willingness to stick to the tone of the campy late Showa era films, and I appreciate that connection. And while I did say the humans are better,
KOTM, you are based.
These were largely forgettable, one-dimensional late Showa era for the Japanese films. Controversially, my favorite of the Monsterverse films is Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire, due to its willingness to stick to the tone of the campy late Showa era films.
He did not read through this right here because I'm gonna slow this down for you guys.
Yeah, you need to.
X Kong: The New Empire, due to its willingness to stick to the tone of the campy late Showa era film.
So ready, if you watch what he says here.
X Kong: The New Empire,
its willingness to stick to the tone of the
late Showa era film.
He says can't be late instead of the can't be late Showa era.
Empire,
is this like a speech to text thing that he's using to make these
How
subtitles?
the fuck did this happen?
I know that the software I use does an AI text to speech, but I read through the text to speech and add lines in words that it misses or respell things that it gets wrong. So it sticks to the tone of the campy late.
Tone of the campy late Showa era films, and I appreciate that connection. And why?
Someone needs to write that on a notepad, and we need to use it as a meme at some point. The can't be late Showa era films.
The Platoon stream.
Yeah, no, Mechagodzilla and
Terra. No, they weren't campy. Yep.
I'd say Mechagodzilla is more campy than Terra, but Terra definitely isn't campy.
Yeah.
All that campy.
What part of Terra of Mechagodzilla is campy?
Exactly. That's.
And even then,
if any of that film is campy, I feel concerned for you.
As well as also, if we want to be super actually about this, the latest Showa era film, based on when the film came out and being part of the actual Showa period of Japan, is Godzilla 84, making it the latest of the campy late Showa series. Therefore, the latest Showa era Godzilla movie is exceptionally more dark than the Champion era Godzilla movies. F29 says Titanosaurus biting Godzilla's nose could be considered kind of campy.
I mean, that's one. That's maybe one little bit out of.
That's drawing the sequence out of context.
I would still say that even the scene in context, the mechanics of the scene are goofier and more campy than what you could do. But what I will say is that what Titanosaurus does to Godzilla isn't as campy as what you see in Megalon or Gigan.
Yeah.
So
there's a difference between that and
GXK.
I request them. I need them.
Not
the spice.
Not yet, dude. Not yet, dude. That film's gonna scar you for a while.
That's why he needs the reparations.
I didn't want to join just yet, but this guy's pissing me off, so I decided, you know what, screw it. I'm just gonna pop in for the night.
Calling the new Empire due to its willingness to stick to the tone of the campy late Showa era films, and I appreciate that connection. And while I did say the humans are better in the Showa and Heisei era than people believe, they are largely forgettable, cringeworthy, or one-dimensional in the Monsterverse. And with the release of the Monsterverse films happening at the same time as the Reiwa era of Japanese Godzilla films happening right now, the franchise has its most frequent output since maybe the Showa era, and these Reiwa era Godzilla films are so memorable for me for the many highs, including Shin Godzilla and Godzilla -1, and then we have the Godzilla anime trilogy, which is awful and some of the worst lows of the franchise. Seriously, these are mind-numbingly boring. I can't stand them. If you all ever want me to talk about them, they'll be their own video someday in the far, far future. And again, going back to the highs, this era brings back to me two films that for many, including myself, believe are the same quality as the original Godzilla film, Shin Godzilla and Godzilla -1. Shin Godzilla, which was directed by Shinji Higuchi, best known for his work as special effects director in the
No, that was
Camera.
Anno. Higuchi was the
He mentions Anno after this. I don't know why he mentions them in this order, but he does mention Anno.
It's a weird order.
Yeah.
He mentions Shinji Higuchi.
Best known for his work on Neon Genesis Evangelion. This take on the creature is my favorite by far, featuring a version of Godzilla bellowing out in pain, rapidly evolving for me to recognize that it's Godzilla at first, with a low swinging camera providing a sense of scale that feels so oppressive, and witnessing this beast of destruction feeling so personal and carrying so much weight. There's also a critique of the bureaucracy of governments and the inability to move efficiently past red tape, often making problems worse by being far too reactive and not proactive. It's by far the most talky of the Godzilla films, and it's the one that I love, even if there's a few vocal fans that do find it to be boring. And while many are familiar with Godzilla,
Project Nemesis did it better.
Yes, it is as good as it says it is, with some of the best characters of the franchise, but yes, there are other good human characters. Anyone who said this is the scariest Godzilla film in a long time needs to look at the literal most recent Godzilla film from Japan before this, Shin Godzilla, to prove how untrue this is, and I'd argue that's the scarier movie. There could be years worth of videos detailing.
Tell that to the bullet trains that he didn't blow up before they woke him up.
Different moments, different themes, breaking down different eras. But most people
what aspect of
most people don't know Godzilla at all. But I hope my brief elaboration about what this creature is and what these films mean to me helps you understand the series a bit more. If you've never,
it really didn't. Like, this really, like, I could go to any other
movie fan
video on Godzilla, and I would come away with the same impression.
Has Adam seen Shin Godzilla yet?
I hope he doesn't.
I hope not. Oh God, I don't want to know. I don't want to know what he would think of it. Jesus Christ.
Even though my opinion on Shin Godzilla has soured a little bit, I will raise the flag of Shin. The flames of Gondor have been lit, and Rodan will answer.
No. Here's the thing.
I hope I hear specifically.
No, here's the thing. Here's the thing. He trashes -1, but if I hear him say that Shin Godzilla is like great, then I will cover him again. I swear to God.
Why? The moment I see a Godzilla in his thumbnail or Godzilla in his titles or him mention the name Godzilla and someone says, I'm going to cover Adam Does Movies, I'm just going to be in the background and be like, boy, I have this.
Why did the echo actually make that work?
Oh, this echo is bad.
Yeah, it's blacks.
It's.
Of course, it's the black.
What did you say?
What did you say?
The original Shin Godzilla and -1 are the three most essential. After that, if you want a campy look at the series, I highly suggest Godzilla vs. Megalon. If you want to see how bold the series can get, as well as some strong commentary, check out Godzilla vs. Hedorah or Godzilla vs. Biollante. And if you want a good time and just a monster mayhem, check out Final Wars. And despite what we all love about this franchise and the films that we love are the eras or the themes that we find ourselves connected to, what's special that we're all connected to Godzilla in so many different ways, and they're all true to all of us. And at the end of the day, maybe that's what we should remember, and also just that the series is much more.
But if all of them are true, then what was the point of
then what do Americans not understand?
Oh my God, he is Gramuglia.
Oh God.
I was about to ask, like, what was the point again of his video?
No, what was the point?
No, right?
Why?
If you want to watch Godzilla movies made by Americans who understand Godzilla, go watch 2014 and caught him. It'll dismantle my point, but fuck it. I already did.
We've debated twice the merits of Condom. Go watch it. Go watch G14. Gojin can bitch about the human characters. All he wants. Go watch G14.
3 weeks ago, he did a video on Nosferatu.
Who?
Adam?
This dude. No,
this guy? Oh no. What did he say?
Oh no.
Microphone, the dread in your voice.
Please don't. Oh, God.
Nosferatu was one of the best movies I've seen in a while.
So that's the thumbnail for the video. And I'm already just looking at that, and I'm like, why?
What does it say?
What's it saying? The screen's too small.
An exploration of desire and trauma in Nosferatu. But just I'm looking at the thumbnail, it is so over designed. Like that's my main problem with it.
Okay, I thought you were saying like this. Why Nosferatu sucks? I was like, and I was about to ready to send this man to the depths of hell.
Just why? Like, why?
Oh my goodness!
Why is this so hard for people to understand?
Godzilla, exactly. Why is it? I don't. How?
Like, I don't like to think I'm a know-it-all with this series. I most certainly get stuff wrong.
Like, why? Welcome back.
Sorry, I had to change the browser because.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
As I hear one sec. Let's try that. GC. I do not. As well as I just see what someone put in the meme chat, and I'm now traumatized for life.
This video was exhausting.
This video was exhausting, and this is exactly why I put it at 2x speed. Is because the fact that this video was 30 minutes and it said so little that we could get through it easily.
I'd like to know what makes him such a big authority to determine who understands what and why.
Americans who hate America, who will do anything to hate America. That is what that
self-hating white Americans.
Well, I don't even think he's white, and he's probably.
It ain't hard, especially right now. But goddamn, you are trying too hard.
I would say this guy is 100% Mexican, which is why he thinks he's an authority, because he's not American. So he can say to other people, hey, if you're an American, you don't understand Godzilla. Let me defend the entire nation of Japan while I misunderstand Godzilla myself.
Stand back, Japanese people. I've got this. I'm Japan's number one guy.
Leave the entire country of people alone.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of fucked up when you think about it. You know, we're just like, don't you worry, guys. I'll be your white knight. Like, that's kind of, isn't that kind of messed up a little bit?
I'll be your white knight.
I will be the American the Japanese believe me to be.
Yeah, what's it called? When you really are the Japanese that people, the American that Japanese don't want you to be, actually.
This is kind of American that the Japanese parody.
Yeah, literally. When you are not America's strongest soldier. Stop giving me your funniest battles, but you are my silliest clown.
So welcome to the circus.
Welcome to the circus, motherfucker.
Rats made me crazy. I was crazy.
Reminds me of the Cleopatra shit. No, literally. I don't know what anyone told you, but Americans don't understand Godzilla.
Long story short, the thesis of this entire stream was kill all movie fans.
Not all movie fans, okay? Not all movie fans.
Yes, all of them. All of them shall
not all movie fans.
Destroy all movie fans. Melee.
Destroy all movie fans. Melee.
No, but seriously, I find it interesting that people decide that they just have more authority to speak on these kinds of subjects than other when they have so little information to go by. At least information that they could acquire, but they just don't, because a lot of that information would contradict what they're saying. And I don't know if it's a subconscious thing or they're consciously doing it. But back to my point of
to me, it's like they just aren't willing to put in the effort because it still has to do with Godzilla's reputation. It's like they just think they know it all because they think he's such an easy thing to figure out. When
I think
you
it's
watch his films and you're like me and have written multiple essays about multiple Godzilla films, you realize there is a lot here to discuss.
The fact that people can write essays as many times as they can on these various different films with proper sources, getting access to these quotes on multiple occasions. Kuru, you stated you wrote multiple. I wrote 2 video essays. Not video essays, 2 research projects on the history of kaiju, which is a much more difficult topic to cover in a generalized sense. And I was not the only one.
Yeah, and you don't even, or at the very least, you make like if someone like me who's made essay videos who maybe doesn't pull up like 20 different articles, and sourcing them, but at least like have watched the films and are like analyzing them and discussing and like critiquing them, while also comparing it to other doing comparisons between those other films.
Who have watched these films, who aren't like the most media literate people, I would say. I don't know.
Media literacy.
You know what I mean?
I use my media
But
literacy.
like they grasp this stuff. It's not hard. So part of me honestly thinks it's willful ignorance.
I think it's malicious ignorance.
As the great Qui-Gon Jinn once said, the ability to speak does not make you intelligent.
True words have never been spoken.
Still, like I find it very funny. Very funny. Like, first of all, who the hell do you think you are telling me I don't understand Godzilla?
Who the hell do you think I am?
Who the hell? Okay, calm me damn. But yeah, no. I find it really funny.
Believe in the Rooney that believes in you.
This movie review is the movie review that will pierce the heavens.
Well, it's piercing something.
Or what's
I
it
gave a
called?
difficult choice to my friend because I want
Someone
to
needs
show.
to do like a shining finger edit for our movie fans. Take this, my media literacy, my analysis, and all of my edits. Movie fan finger.
Oh wait, is that from? I know where that's from.
G Gundam.
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought it was at TFS. Trunk Super DBS Super.
No, what's it called? Trunks is referencing G Gundam in that short.
Okay, fair enough. I kind of like that that abridged dub.
I love DBZA.
Who doesn't?
I wish they continued with. If they weren't gonna do Super, at the very least they could have done GT.
I would have loved it. Like, I wish they just had
not have allowed that.
I wish they had just gotten if they had finished with the end of the Boo saga, I would have been happy if they never did anything else. Like, I
would have loved to see Gohan in TFS, the TFS version of Gohan. Go up to Boo and be like, "Oh, what's wrong, little boy? Do you need an adult?"
No,
I am an adult.
Punches him in the gut and calls him. Yeah, and says the thing from the manga.
He does.
I love that. I would have loved to see that version of Gohan. Instant win.
I mean, I'm happy with how they ended off DBZA proper, but the Boo bits are just a nice.
I'm so happy that they did the Boo bits.
Yeah,
the Boo bits are cinema. I would have loved to see what they did with like Broly, the Super Broly. Would they go with the beta male thing they did with Z Broly, or would they make him like the complete opposite? Is what I want.
He's the
Giga Chad
okay,
Broly,
but I think that would be hilarious. Just Giga Chad Broly.
Just pushing away Chi-Lai. No, I don't like women.
No women.
Women scare me.
Women scare me. Bro, he's literally me.
We have the same joke.
No, because we all have versions.
My dad ruined my childhood, but it was for a good cause because I ended up being an ultra Giga Chad alpha male. So sorry, Chi-Lai.
Don't care. Fuck you, Catherine. Prom probably sucked anyway. I was grinding Left 4 Dead. I'm my own PE gym teacher. Turn that mindset into a grind set, Jimbo.
Oh no!
You're not
I could totally see them doing that for him as well.
Oh my god!
Godzilla's a funny thing, the funny little lizard that we.
He's a funny little guy.
He's just a funny,
so goofy.
Funny
he's a silly little lad.
As Anthony once said, he was always silly.
Yeah, when I was watching editing,
the one good thing about Anthony is that he gets to be the second Anthony I beat up on a daily basis.
So I suddenly just had a thought. Maybe this is a showcase of how Americans don't understand Godzilla. We're just seeing someone who doesn't in its natural habitat.
Again, Americans don't understand Godzilla. The American that does not understand Godzilla.
Exactly.
I feel like he's right, but not for the reasons he thinks he's right.
Exactly. I hate the fact that you're right.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny to think about. Switching gears a little bit, not entirely. When I was editing my GBK video, I'm still editing, by the way. It's a pain. I decided, you know what? I'm gonna sit down and fully watch Godzilla versus Hedorah. Give it a proper analysis. I hated Godzilla versus Hedorah. I hated every second of it, except for the atmosphere. I really do like the atmosphere, especially like most of the Showa movies, especially if there's like scenes that take place at night. I really do love the atmosphere. But that's about it. That's like the and I think it was Kuru that said it. Like the concept of Hedorah, I like it. I just don't think it was poorly executed at all.
Oh God, Kuru, you're roboting.
Everyone's roboting to some degree or another.
Oh boy.
The one thing wrong with DBZA is its fandom opening their mouth about the show / manga they didn't watch. Oh yeah, that's true.
But that's not the fault of the show.
Silence, DBZ fan. A
DBZA fan is watching. Yeah. I think like probably like when I really think about it, I think that like DBZA is probably the series that really made people think Goku was a bad dad.
Bro,
Goku's a great dad.
You sound like an absolute robot.
Alice in chat said that versus Hedorah is peak. I will tear that movie a new asshole. First of all, the main protagonist, I think it was a scientist. I don't think he's ever named in the movie.
He is. I don't remember the name off the top of his head though, unfortunately.
I don't like. I think he's called Deer and Darling several times because I watched the Japanese dub. I didn't watch the English dub. I don't think he's named there. I tried to find his name. I don't think they've ever said it like explicitly. Like I don't know his name, his last name. Maybe I missed something. I misheard because I did kind of fall asleep watching it because it was like what 2 a.m. Around like the third act when Godzilla's on that hill and Hedorah kills all those people, including the son of the main protagonist, but he comes back to life for some reason. That kid is dead, by the way. He's dead. I don't care what anybody. I think part of the reason why the fights, in particular, excluding the first fight, I think the first fight is probably the least offensive one. I think part of it is like the limitation of the technology that makes the geography of what is happening quite unclear. I don't know. It was very hard to keep up with like the geography, as well as like where the monsters were positioned and how and which direction they were going in. I'm guessing it's because they were in a
at the base of Mount Fuji. At the base of Mount Fuji.
Yeah, exactly. Since they weren't there's no landmarks to really pinpoint exactly where people are besides Mount Fuji itself. I don't know if it's because of poor production, or I don't know if it's because they didn't take into consideration like where to shoot the scenes and what.
Okay, am I any better now?
You sound better, yeah.
Perfect.
Can I just say something, like Ronnie?
Sure.
I'm so glad that you're saying that Godzilla vs. Hedorah is terrible because I agree.
Slap every single one of you.
I like Hedorah as a concept, but
no, I love Hedorah as a concept.
I know
You're never gonna see me.
Yeah, Hedorah's a cool concept. I like Hedorah.
I like his design as well, especially. I like the scene where he's in the ocean and you can only see the eyes. It looks very menacing. It looks bloodshot. I like that.
Yeah.
And, but also like on top of the fact that the way he's set up, like for some, I don't know how the scientist just divines the idea that he might be an alien. I don't know how he came.
It's really funny because actually he's a Kenny from a Gamera film, so that's why.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Also, what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to probably end the stream tonight, only because I have to get up early tomorrow, and it's already like near midnight where I am.
Okay.
Sorry. This has been it's a weird night tonight when it comes to
this was a video.
This was a video. I know the next stream next week is going to be on D-Man's Godzilla vs. Kong video that came out recently. So that's gonna be more of a power scaling video.
Oh, I'm in.
No.
Oh, I very much
Our
am.
feeling bad.
I am absolutely rabid right now. I'm
Didn't you defend it at one point?
No.
I'm foaming at the mouth just at the thought of somebody praising GBK for something.
I recall you defended its necessity during the GXK discussion stream on C's channel.
I wasn't in the GXK discussion on.
I was talking to Black.
Oh, never mind.
I think you're thinking of Lau. I think it was Lau. He was saying that GBK was necessary at this time because of the...
No, it was you during the GXK discussion on Sea Monster's channel.
Was it?
It was towards the end of the video. The end of the stream. It was like the latter half of the stream.
And this is literally why I now have all of my streams have numbers on them so people can know. It'd be like references. It was this one, but I thank you all for coming on.
Yeah.
And yeah. We'll start with Sea Monster and then we'll go up towards me. Y'all can chill your shit as you all want to do.
Okay. All right. Well, this has been your guest, the Sea Monster. I have a channel, Sea Monster Essays, where I post essay videos, which I have a couple in the pipe works. One of them being a GXK essay video, which is definitely looking to be a long minute. It is still not done. I mean, that's one big project. I'm also working on a super cut of that one stream I did with a certain Adam and a certain Nosferatu movie. That's going to be a long minute, I'm sure. Stay tuned for that. And I have live streams where on Saturday we're going to have Brutally Hannes on himself.
What was that?
What is that?
Cybercop.
The Brutally Hands, the guy that have done like a couple streams on already. Like he's going to be.
Well, no. There was like just a weird screech noise that came in there for a second.
It was a cybercop.
Oh, that was weird.
Cybernetically.
Okay. So yeah. So Saturday, 12 noon. That will be got a stream on there. Brutally Hands will be guests appearing in it. We'll be having a chat.
I will be there.
About Monsterverse and all that stuff. Cool. And follow me on Twitter, Sea Monster.
I will try to be there. It's just dependent on whether or not Wild lets me off the leash.
All right.
Let you off the leash for this. They will let you off the leash for Hannes.
Okay. So all right. So just to wrap it up, Sea Monster Essays. That's my YouTube channel. Sea Monster KCI. That's my Twitter. Go check those out. Go watch Nosferatu 2024, and I've been started playing Republic Commando. So. Enjoying that so far. So that's a recommendation. There you go.
Based Clanker.
Clones to the rest of what?
Black, it's your turn to shill.
It's my turn to shill. You should shill yourself now. So, firstly, couple things. Editing GVK, watch Full Metal Jacket. Love that movie. Number two, what else? What was I going to say? Oh, right. My channel, Blackaroonie, Godzilla vs. Kong video coming soon. Due to hardware limitations, I don't know if y'all saw the announcement on my community page, but due to hardware limitations, I'm forced to release it as a trilogy. But I hope that the first act is substantive. You can watch it as a feature-length film because it is as long as a feature-length film thus far. And follow me at my Twitter at Mr. Blackaroonie. And before I go, I'd like to say a couple things. Number one, Timothy Chalamet should have won the Oscars. And number two, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, play Helldivers. Play Helldivers 2. And Space Marine 2. Play those games. Those are great games. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Join the server if you want. No pressure. Don't mind the autism. And GVK is absolute garbage, and I will die on that hill.
Ave Dominus Nox. Kuru.
I don't really have anything to shill, I guess. Keep an eye out for if and hopefully when I start working and releasing parts for my Persona 5 Royal video series that I have in mind, just talking about why it's the best thing humanity has ever created. And aside from that, only thing I got are recommendations. Go play Monster Hunter Wilds. Go play Persona 5. Go play the Persona series in general. Don't mind the ridiculous fans. Go watch Gurren Lagann, and that's it from me.
There we go. Minecraft.
You can find me on YouTube at Minecraft World 1954. That's my @ or just Minecraft World, where I post kaiju and versus related content. Well, I have versus related content, but I have kaiju stuff mostly in the Pipeworks. Specifically, a video essay / character study on Nemesis and a redux of my GXK sequel pitch. I am almost done with the first act in terms of the outline. And I'm hoping to get to making an animatic of my favorite sequence from it first, and then more stuff later down the line, as well as just the Nemesis essay I am slowly chipping away at. You can also find me on Instagram, where I see your echoing.
Oh crap!
I got him.
But yeah, you can also find me on Instagram, where I post artworks and concepts for Neos, Goddess of Monsters, a Greek mythology-inspired kaiju story that I've been working on, as well as multiple other concepts. I have just recently posted a bunch of artworks there. And you can also find those on Kara. You can find me on Blue Sky, where I do stuff. And yeah, for recommendations, go play Sonic Shadow Generations. It's peak. Go read Project Nemesis. Definitely do that. And yeah, Tiamat deserved better. Bye.
Zim, sorry to interrupt this whole thing, but I want the opportunity to say this, because I don't think I'm ever gonna have the opportunity to say this. So I have a commission to all of you, everyone watching in the audience right now.
The Great Commission.
It's not. I say commission, more like you should go do it, because it would be really, really funny. Completely separate from Godzilla. So, funny story. I had a dream that Invincible was fighting Morbius on a farm. Morbius was chasing Invincible, while Invincible was holding a truck with a cat on it. If you can animate, I beg of you, please animate that. It would be so freaking funny.
I'm gonna draw that. It's Morbin time.
If you want storyboards, I can provide them. Twitter or Discord, if you want to. But yeah, no, please, I am begging you. Please
send me the story, because your audio is a little bit quiet at this point.
I could do that.
DM the story to me, and then I'll probably make a drawing of it, and later down the line see if I can do an animation.
Deal.
Okay.
There you go, Vic.
All right, I have been the manager of the Zimzilla 99 channel. You can find me on YouTube at Kaijunaut, where I have videos, live streams, and more. Stay tuned for my next video, Zimzilla 99 Exposed, the Audrey Simp. Till next time, guys.
I will slap you, boy. I will slap you across the border. I will cross state lines with these hands.
I think he's being serious, Vic.
I think
you should run.
These hands are rated E for everyone.
Oh no.
But you know where to find me. You just give me a Zimzilla99 almost anywhere. You just add an OG in front of it if you want to find me on Twitter, a YT behind it if you want to find me on PlayStation. Xbox, I was able to actually get my name, so you know that is what it is. Discord is in the description, along with all my other socials if you want to chat with me anywhere there. Commissions are open. And yeah, stay tuned, because I actually have gotten all of my Thursday uploads already ready for March and April. And I've almost done all of my uploads for Thursday in May done. I just have a few Tuesday uploads that I need to complete for March, and a few I need to complete for April. And then May is going to be the big one. But yeah, so That's going to be the new kind of style for the channel. Is Tuesdays are going to be the live streams and the bigger videos, with Thursdays being shorts. And that way I will keep a consistent upload schedule for people. And yeah, stay tuned for the Rodan video coming later in the month, and the Godzilla 98 video that's coming in May, the Xidio video game review that's coming out in April, and stay tuned for Hollow Earth: The Awakening. That's the only thing I'm going to say about that project. There's going to be nothing else. If you want to contribute to that, you're welcome to do so in the Discord. And with that, I will bid you all adieu. And remember, guys.
Semper Fi, motherfucker.